of the pack. They're not moving up too much. They're not dropping down. They're still in top 8. And if they can stay there, all it takes is one win. One win in our 8 games today, and they are in the money.
Yeah, I want to say Team Aiden was kind of the same storyline last week, where they were kind of middle of the pack, and then their final game, they broke into top 5 and were managed to at least get some type of money. Team Drakes, though, are starting to take a massive lead. Now, of course, 4 more games to go. It can change, but our Lions, like, they've got to step it up. We're looking at Aiden. I'm looking at Gorgo Knight, Picnic Basket, Iceman, Isaac, so many out there. But, man, Drakes are dominating the leaderboard for sure. And if you guys ever see the standings and you see teams in blue, you see teams in yellow, blue is going to be the Drakes, and then yellow is going to be the Lions. We're representing the day, but Space, your team is killing it, man. They're dominating.
That's what we do. I mean, listen, it's just, we have really good players, and I know I'm just very, very glad to be here. But listen, the quality of gameplay we're seeing from everybody, just from a week's time, the progression we've seen from the consistency in these trios, the chemistry that they're clearly showing, and just the way they've approached Vondel Resurgence, very different than what we saw in week 1. Granted, some changes have certainly helped with that, but Reflections, it feels like we're getting kind of the purest form of all of our trios right now. While some still need to pick it up, it really feels like there's been a big change from that first week.
Big change indeed, not only in the pacing, frequency of fights, the games feel a little bit quicker, and I really do think it's because we banned out the community voted on banning out the signal. I think someone actually hit the wrong edge and ended up falling to their death. That is not a way you want to start, but it's Resurgence. She'll come back in. But yeah, banning of the signal 5, and then also having 1 sniper per team is forced engagements, and they are super fast. But not only that, we are seeing Team Space be more confident in their playability and breaking up. Case in point, Clutch, Destroy, Z-Laner. They're all over the map currently. They're within the same grid, right? Same area, but they're playing different rooftop, playing different buildings, and that gives them an opportunity to pincer a team, pounce on a team, or ultimately just, play their lives and get them back into play.
Well, we are now halfway through our tournament today. Game 4 on your screen. So if you're just joining us, you've missed some high-octane action in the first couple of matches where really came down to the wire for a lot of our trios, and I think that is thanks to removing the Signal 50, which also an interesting caveat here is Reflections, like, we have only been on screen with maybe 1 sniper and Breadman today, compared to last week where it seemed like every high ground had a sniper in their pocket. It has been very even across the board. Everybody just focusing on the simple engagements rather than, staying at range with a snipe.
Mortar strike onto Clutch Belt. That's surely going to force some players out. Destroy will fall. Clutch Belt on the rooftop up ahead. Maybe he picks up 1 or 2. Z-Laner, though, has been moving and grooving on this low end. He's just trying to pick up as many plates as he possibly can. We switch over to our first place team, and that's Biffle, Shifty, Sage, who have been absolutely unreal when it comes to their consistency from game 1 to game 2 and now on to game number 4. Well, game 3 as well. You got to add that in. We had to get through game 3 to get to game 4, but they did win game 2 with the 25 kill game. They're looking to replicate that. This is their area Space. This is where they land and they dominate.
Yeah, this is where they're going to put up maybe the most eliminations other than rotating into the high ground, using the altitude to pick players off as they start moving into the zone. You don't want to run into this trio if you're down on the streets. You want to avoid players like Biffle in these spots. And luckily for everybody else, they have not met their match to start. And I love this little picture-in-picture. Again, shout out to production for doing so much on the fly and helping this broadcast look the way it does. Biffle and company in first, Gorgo Knight again in second. Those are your leaderboards. Already 4 games in this 4th game. We'll see if things change.
Junior, he's been on our screen many times, and every time it seems like he's on a rooftop and just kind of, dodging some players' bullets, but this time around he drops low, and he just wants to get as many plates as he can. He was fresh out, so now he's at least managed to get 2, and surprisingly, we'll go ahead and hand him over to his teammate so he can be fully kitted up with a 3-plate, but now he's currently out, so any shots that he takes, he's going to be in that much more trouble. As Biffle, or it should be Little J, excuse me, is going to come back into the fight. He'll be just behind. But Little J, I'm curious where he decides to go. And actually, he's going to end up falling. So now this is going to tip off Kens as well as Junior to try and stay up as long as possible.
We can hear somebody stomping around. And we're waiting for the pounce. Airstrike will just leave its mark, but do no damage. And they're still hunting for this player that is around. So, again, whether or not the elimination is the most important thing at the moment, it's only 1 kill. but you never know when that thing can come back to haunt you. So pulling your attention towards it, not the worst play of both your teammates kind of splitting out. Just worst case scenario, if you go down, you have a backup there. We'll just sit here for the moment.
That's it. Kind of stay put. Stay put. Now run. Run as quickly as you can. Swim to Little J. Get to your teammate. UAVs pop so they know where they're at. And they'll band together. Ken's is on this roster. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. Ken's is a very talented player. One of our females competing today. She won a game last week. She's looking to do that once again this time around. And she's going to be scary for anybody that runs into her. I think Junior did spot somebody kind of flying in just up ahead. We switch over, though, to another roster here. Smixy and Co, who have been playing very well, especially beginning game. Like I think, you know, during the start, the initial, as well as mid game, they've been on fire.
Yeah, no, they have cleaned up their early games. Last week, it seemed like they were just kind of getting caught in a lot of awkward gunfights with other trios. They were kind of pulling all of their attention to one squad and maybe losing a lot of the progression they would get in the mid game, and would force them to either overcommit on a team or just get caught out of position and then stuck when it came to rotating. However, this time around, they really cleaned up the early game. They've been much more efficient with their kills, getting in and out of dodge and picking up those eliminations, and then moving on to the next squad. So it's nice to see that the changes have happened. And you can hear the comms continue to call out as they see or find one more, and that UAV will certainly help locate this player.
Blanked is on the hunt slowly, methodically, trying to stay as quiet as possible. Looking for a jump up, but he doesn't need it. The jump up comes to him. He falls, attracted Smixy now. They'll be on the hunt themselves. Smixy, she's from a distance, which is going to be good anyways, especially if Attract decides to push up. I look for him on the map. Attract is... Oh, Smixy from the flank, though, has got to be careful. She backs away. Luckily, she's got the 2-plate and a precision airstrike onto the roof, so she can go and disengage, but she goes to run straight into an opponent. She falls. Attract also down. Squad eliminated. They place 19th. We've lost 2 trios, but that is a shock to see Smixy's crew get eliminated so early on.
Yeah, that's a frustrating one too. It's oftentimes when you're playing like competitive, you say like, look, no dumb deaths, no opportunities where we just give things away. Not necessarily that was the situation there, but we just talk about how good their early game's been, how clean they've been getting it out of gunfights. A situation where maybe they overcommitted just a tad to getting into position to take a gunfight. Maybe the better opportunity was just to escape, play your life, and play for placement. However, in this opportunity, they get burned. They will get more games today, but in game 4, where everything is important and nothing's for free, they very much needed to stay alive longer than that. They will drop. We'll jump back over to a different POV. Is never mind. He will fall and over to Swiftify. Excuse me, Saltify, and we'll see whether or not this team can really put things together.
Yeah, they're chilling top.
I'd be able to. Solidify is a very talented player in his own right alongside Donkey and Huskers, and these guys were tearing it up in the early game space. We were kind of following along that storyline. At one point, it was kind of a story of, you know, it's everybody versus Huskers, but no doubt they need to catch up. I mean, they really do, because they're not even within top 10 at the moment. Or are they within top 10? I look, and no, I don't think they. No, they're not. They dropped down. But after game 1 and game 2, they were definitely up there. So a lot of ground to cover. But here's your favorite sniper, right? Breadman. We saw him hit a snipe a little bit earlier before we switched perspectives. And he's looking to do it again. But now it's sneaky time, right? Who is up ahead?
I think Solidify jumped out of position as well, so I don't know if there's going to be necessarily someone up here to challenge. Yes, there will. Great shot, Super Evan. That's going to be the drop that you don't want. Challenging Breadman's not going to go your way. Careful on the swing. These stairwells can be deadly. Yeah, it would be a perfect space for a Claymore, but we're going to keep asking for it just in case we get it. And all right, Breadman escapes, gets 1 elimination, and dips out.
Hit and run. Hit and run, you know, like, why not? I like Breadman. Been watching it for quite some time. I remember back in Warzone 1, he was my guy to watch with the Berthas. He was just running people over.
Oh, yeah.
Was he the worst driver or the best driver? I don't know. He's picking up eliminations, but he's running everybody over. So
depends on how you define driving, but that's up to you, you know?
That's right.
I mean, watching him play on the airport in Verdansk was chaos for everybody else. He would just stay alive in his little ratty spots and just make it a problem for everybody. Interesting spots here. Again, on his own, so good individually just to play through his movement. It's very tough to lock him down.
It is. It is. Mr. Bucket Hat himself. All right, so Doggy now. We go back to this perspective with Huskers and Solidify. They've managed to get a rooftop. I think the last time we watched them, they were down on ground level, and now they're going to go ahead and post up, and this is a great spot to just literally see everything. And with their aim, they can hit just about anybody. Solidify got to drop a little bit earlier, and Dongi, I believe, messes up the jump, but that's okay because Huskers managed to hit his. He's going to be the tip of the spear to push the team they're going after.
There was a kid on your level over here.
They might make this move now, and I don't hate it. Again, Huskers is the furthest one pushed up. You're going to give the angle for the moment to Solidify in the back. Your lead blockers move in. And it looks like we'll just clear through the stairwell. Nicely done to get everybody involved. Quick tags and cleanup. Solidify finds one. That's Sanjay who will drop. Back over to Joe-O. In an interesting position to be in because we've seen a couple of teams fall very quickly in these spots, but he will escape, and I think his teammates are helping to pick up kills.
So you have Breadman, you've got, so Limax was finished off a little bit earlier when we saw that Huskers, that tip of the spear. He finished off Limax, and then Sanjay fell right after that. So you've got at least, for sure, 3 trios in this area. You might have maybe 4 or a little bit more. This is a tightly contested area, and I want to say Huskers and Co currently have the leg up with the way that they're playing, but Jomo's back in the mix, and he's getting scrappy, but the thing is, bullets, right? He's only down to 3 AR bullets, so now he's got to go to the SMG. We transfer over to Solidify. This fight that continued on. I believe the rest of Sanjay's roster is still in this building, so they're going to try and hunt them down.
I mean, where do you go if you're her roster? Like, do you try to dip out and get caught crossing, or you stay where you're at and fight on the re-engagement regardless? Though low in ammo, it feels like a couple of teams now kind of stuck in position, right? Whether it's an ammo issue or just finding the last player who's keeping your hopes from conquering this rooftop alive. Certainly a push to the late game that's going to matter the most as they try to put more kills on the board. 4 eliminations for the moment. Saltify hunting for this last member. And they just can't find it.
Not yet. Oh, Resurgence disabled space. No more I'm actually astounded. Resurgence just disabled, and we still have 18 trios. This is the most stacked competitive lobby we have seen out of all the games today, and even last week.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a slow game 4.
Very slow.
It feels like a lot of engagements. I mean, maybe it is relatively, as again, more shots at range work out. We'll hold that thought for the moment. He gets ammo in the back, but it felt like, you know, Joe-O engaging a trio, runs out of ammo. Other teams engaging a trio, that player peels off. Now you're stuck looking for numbers. It felt like a couple of times we should have seen more engagements happen more quickly, but things really came down to a crawl in this game 4. Still can't find the kill. How many bullets does he need to expend before he finally finds the elimination?
And we were just talking about it being out of AR ammo just a little bit earlier. He's about to run. Well, he's got a lot more this time around. His teammates were able to disseminate the AR bullets, but still, man, like, you're right. He was putting shots in just about everybody down low, and sometimes it's like that. You can output a ton of damage, and you're just not picking up elims. But this man, Breadman, with the sniper in hand, looking at the water. I like their spot. I like their positioning. They've got a good grasp of who's in front of them, but they also know teams are going to be in the water. And those teams in the water, if they don't surface, if they don't get the land, they're just going to be sitting ducks for Breadman Sniper.
Yeah. Again, you're hoping maybe Breadman and company get third-partied, so their retention gets pulled away from the water, but I don't think that's going to happen. They're going to risk this investment to just get those free eliminations in the water. But okay.
Ooh.
You hear it? Water is insane. You get Breadman with the snipe. 2 on the board for him.
Oh!
Misses an easy one. It's always the easy ones that you can't hit.
It's because you flick.
Yeah.
You're waiting for them to move, right? So you flick and you know, trying to predict them, but they don't move. They're just oblivious. So yeah, you're right. Here we go. FIFA kill, right? We love watching him compete. Now pulling up a new teammate of Rios, which is going to be great. Still playing with Oki. That was his duo from last week, but picking up NA player Rios, who is a very talented player who competed in the World Series of Warzone. Didn't make it through, but still always one to keep a lookout for. And this is probably going to be FIFA Kill's best game we have seen yet.
I mean, you certainly want to see this trio succeed, and this is the best opportunity they've had so far today in Game 4, halfway through the tournament. 3 different winners. Game 1, Tommy. Game 2, Biffle. In Game 3, was Z-Laner. Could FIFA Kill put his name to that list halfway through? 6 eliminations. Everybody's still up. Again, Resurgence is closed. Who you got unless you get to a buy station, but that's going to be very difficult as a POI. More players in the water for the moment. And you got nowhere to go if you're in the water. I mean, like, the zone's going to kill you, or Joe-O will. One of the two.
That's right, or Joe will, right? or whoever else is going to be Breadman, right, with the sniper. Like I said, they got water on lock. Absolutely on lock. So if you're out there, good luck. And that's a full trio. Space who's going to be trying to just stay alive as long as possible. Honestly, if I'm them, I'm hugging the edge of that water as long as I can so I can get the safe zone. But now you don't have a choice. They're going for the elims, and I'm all for this push. Like I said, they're sitting ducks. You're shooting fish in a barrel at this point, but maybe it's not as easy. Joe taken down to a sliver of health. Limax as well. This trio putting up way more of a fight than I expected.
And Breadman was able to find one, so at least alleviated some of that pressure on the push. But again, more chaos in the opposite side as you got FIFA Kill and company trying to clean up stragglers as they rotate back into the play. Zone to their back. Numbers continue to fall. Zone will close. And with that, now you have to make your move here for Joe and company. You relinquish the high ground, so you granted get 3 eliminations out of it. But is it enough? Is it enough to pay off the investment? That's the big question into the final play.
Now they're going to try and break away over towards the building so they can have a little bit more coverage. When you go to the edge of that zone like that, you risk being out in the open. Looks like some gas down Joe. Suspecting a player might be close. Transferring over to Breadman's perspective. Down to just 5 trios. Breadman, a ton of damage. He falls. Self-revive is in hand. Can Joe and Limax keep him up?
They might be finding FIFA Kill in the back. They'll get one. They're going to get the revive off thanks to the smoke. And they're trying to get positioning. They say, we can get bottom left. We can just play down and try to hold out for the last zone.
4 trios, 10 players left. Breadman, Limax staying together. They can team fire. Better chances to win a fight, but they break onto the inside. There's going to be a couple of players in. 2 are going to fall. Was it 3 that fell space? Maybe it was. Yes, it was, because now we're down to 3. We transfer over to Oki. FIFA Kill. Rios, right? A new trio that is competing today, looking to have their best placement. FIFA Kill now onto the high ground. 3 trios remaining. A player up ahead. FIFA goes for the beams. Can't get the finish.
Well, he got close enough to at least strip some of the plates. FIFA's just trying to get in a position to clean up this kill. The comms continue to light up and tell them exactly where these players are at, but they don't have the angle. Okay, from underneath. Great shots. 2 in a row. Finding the second. 1 more will fall, but it doesn't matter. The numbers are still up. They should have enough to close out this game.
They should. They definitely should. I think it's going to be a 2v2. There's 3 trios remaining. Well, actually, I guess that's bad maths. It might be a 2v1v1. I think that was 1 that they were able to find. That's Nartarsha. So yeah, it's going to be now a 2v1 situation. Make that a 1v1 from the high ground is going to be FIFA. He picks it up. You see the emotion. They're pumped up. 24 elims. We see it from Oki's perspective. FIFA coming from the backside, and now 24 eliminations. That is FIFA Kill's biggest game yet.
24 elims. We wondered if they were going to take home this victory in Game 4, add their name to the list. They do it. Again, Tommy, Biffle, Z-Laner, 3 in a row, and then you get FIFA Kill added to that list as well. A huge bounce back from this trio, given the placements they had, the standings they were currently sitting in. This was a massive showing in Game 4. Halfway through, the opportune time for this trio to step up. They play through the high ground. They wait for Z-Laner and company to move out. They wait for the opportunity for Joe to start pushing towards the water side and start making those engagements happen. They hold on to their spots. They wait for the pushback, and they re-engage and do so appropriately. Nicely done by this trio.
Yeah, broke it down well, Space. Well done from FIFA Kill. That pumps me up. You know, everybody who knows Warzone knows FIFA Kill. He's one of the most accomplished players out there whenever it comes to Warzone earnings and just competitive history. And week 1, you know, can't lie, he was good, right? But he wasn't as good as I was expecting. And now picking up Rios, right? That top NA player seems to be paying dividends. Team chemistry's on point. I love that emotion from FIFA at the end. We get to see him, and that win meant a lot to him. So FIFA Kill, he's here to play. We've seen Destroy step it up today. FIFA Kill step it up today, and then the usual suspects of Biffle, TBE, right, doing their thing. It's been fun, right? We've reached a halfway point now, 4 games down, and we've seen so many star-studded teams and teams that didn't perform well last week play well today.
Yeah, and this is just a huge Game 4. It sets the momentum for what's about to happen in the second half of this series of today, how important a lot of these late game pushes are. FIFA Kill last week was close to finding the final fight, but just never quite got there. We didn't get FIFA kill. Today we do. We do see what this team can do in the late zone, what the new pickup's going to look like, what the new trio will bring to the table. They did such a good job with their placements too. Like, they allowed teams to spread out, take awkward gunfights, and all FIFA Kill and Company did was just wait for their opportunity to strike, wait for their chance to take a stack hit, to work through the congestion together and find an opportunity for the team shot. They do find it in the end, and that's the most important part.
That was Aiden's trio who was in the water fighting against Jowo and co. You know, we saw Jowo staying on high ground. We knew they had water on lock, and they decided to push that. That was Aiden's roster. They take them down. They get 6th place. So 2 of our most talented teams facing off against each other. These were the final moments from just about everybody out there. A Zyro on your screen, he fell, and that was in that 1v1 against FIFA. So good on Zyro, just to highlight him, despite him getting 2nd place, right? That's gotta feel good for him, because he didn't have the best of week 1. So week 2 is where he's looking to excel, and after that 2nd place space, that might be the game where he does excel.
That might be the one for sure, but it also feels like we're starting to see, again, the separation after game 4 like we had in week 1, where teams start to get in their groove. We see kind of exactly what we're going to get for the final couple of matches, and with that, what the placements will look like, what the play styles will bring to the table. Now we're seeing the reserve from some of the veterans, the opportunity to say, no, what, we can pull back, we can wait for the chaos to come to us, take advantage, and now we go into game 5 with a lot on the line.
That's right, game 5. 4 games down. What will game 5 bring? Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, game 5 and standings coming your way.
So cocky, bro.
Yeah, he smoked him. Crack him on main roof.
Main roof.
1v2, 1v2.
I can't do anything, bro.
Nice. Let's go fucking shoot. Let's fucking go.
We love that. Let's go.
Oh, baby. I should fucking have it there, bro. All that whole game.
At the north.
What that?
I'm going full send.
Go on.
I need to back up, bro. Wait, I
Stop one in front of me. Stop in here. Stop. Yeah, I mean, one shot. see. Don't give him the kill. No. On ground. Follow me up. Follow me up. Just run with me. Fucking go,
Nice.
baby. Come on, son.
Nice, fellas.
Go, baby.
Come on.
That's what I'm talking about. Come on. Bro, why the fuck are we this? I hate the way he's playing, bro, because I know he do that shit on purpose.
It's a bullet. Oh my god, bro.
One's over cross right here. Dead.
Pizza on my buddy. I have a pizza on my buddy.
Nice. This spot. We just vibe around here. He's flying off right.
Dead.
Yes, yes, yes. Keep playing
Right
that.
here,
Be
on the
all
water.
around.
Dead.
Yep, yep,
Another
yep.
one, another
I
one.
love it. See?
Another one,
I'm
one
here.
more.
I'm here. Yep, yep, yep.
He's stimming. Dead.
I got him.
Tell me close, D.
Ah, motherfucker. What the fuck?
And welcome back, everybody, to Lions versus Drake, the Vondel battles. I'm Taylor Reflections, and we're joined by Spaceman. Halfway point has been reached. 4 games are done. We're about to move into Game 5. But a lot of teams are doing very well today. Destroy, right? FIFA Kill winning that engagement at the end of the 1v1, drop from high ground to low. He gets the win. Space, standings are looking stacked.
Standings are looking good. Biffle still in first place consistently, right? The first 3-4 games, this kid and company really were the ones putting on the show. They are able to get that victory around game 2 with 25 elims, 109.1 points overall. Still pretty commanding lead at first. Gorgonite in second still, Noobs in third, FIFA Kill in fourth. So that win for FIFA Kill helped them jump up to top 4, which is big. Ahsoka and Jowo right behind on their tails at 5th and 6th, which is huge for Jowo and company. And again, we look at like Aiden still in 7th, same thing that's happened since game 4. Iceman Isaac now in 8th. So the top 4, I mean, like, this is about as consistent as we'd expect because of the results we've had today so far. Like, these top 4 teams have been the best placing ones and the ones that have been showing up in the late game most often. So nothing too unsurprising.
The biggest surprise to me is Destroy isn't up there after that wonderful, wonderful game number 3 that he had, getting a victory. But it was only 15 eliminations, and that only put them into the top 10, and now they are out. So consistency absolutely pays off, but nice to see a lot of, like you said, the usual suspects being at the top. And I mean, this is starting to become normalcy at this point, brother. Like, the Drakes just continue to rack up points. It's nearing almost 200. That's the biggest. Actually, I think the only time that we saw a lead like this was like week number 1 after game 1, right? It hasn't been this extreme since.
Yeah, no, literally. It was after game 1, and it was just sample size alone. It was going to be a bit skewed. But here, we've seen the pull away. We started to see around 4 and 5. This is where these games are going to start to really stretch out, and we're going to see the points add up. Granted, it's not a huge margin still. Look, we got 4 more games to go, right? Like, there's still an opportunity here. But it is something to keep in note that just when it comes to the competition between both houses, there are things on the line for sure. Drake starting to pull away. For them, they have Biffle. It's kind of pulling the pack here. He's in number 1 consistently, and you can count on him to put points on the board. It's going to be an interesting way to see how these 2 houses clash as today rounds out, because, again, as the games get more intense and the points add up, the same key factors, key players keep staying consistent, keep putting kills, eliminations, wins, placements on the board, just adds it all into the final total. It'll be fun.
That's right. That's right. And for you fans at home, if you're wondering, like, you know, what's the deal with this Lions versus Drake's thing? Well, it's for the final week. Week number 5, we're going to have one final game that's going to be played just with that team, and then whoever wins gets some additional money for themselves. And I believe everybody gets some additional money in general for being on the winning team. So there is a reason for your house, if you will, Lions or Drakes, to play well and get as many points as you possibly can. Going back to the standing space, you know, one team that we're not seeing today is Juki's squad. I don't see them anywhere up there. You know, they fourth place last week. This week, Foreign Jace comes in for Vision, and that roster, I've seen Foreign Jace a couple of times in some skirmishes, but for the most part, that roster's been very quiet.
For a player that very easily was number 1 across the regional finals, for a team that we were so excited about last week. We're like, oh my god, this is the squad we're going to be watching.
That's right.
This week specifically, we have seen them, I want to say once, and it was very briefly during gunfight. We moved off POV. This has been a big surprise. Absolutely right. And the fact that we haven't seen them consistently make it to the end game tells me either the meta between how Vondel Resurgence is playing is changed from week to week and teams have adapted and they haven't, or they're just getting a lot of bad drops. So if there's a way we could jump in and see them early on, I want to know what's going on, because we haven't seen them after like the final 2 zones. Like, where's this trio? Where'd they go?
That's true. Where'd they go? Where's Juki's, right? What are they doing? Well, we're going to start off with our game 4 winner, FIFA Kill. A big fan favorite out there, and just really a staple when it comes to Warzone competitive. He is just such a dominant player. That skin, by the way, he's using, hard to see on the battlefield, man. It is an incredible skin that I think I actually might not even pay to say that, but I think I might have to actually pick that up. We transfer though.
Oh,
look, we got 2 of them here. I mean, seriously, you blend in with everything.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to see is Black Noir running at you. That's terrifying, trust me. But yeah, when it blends in and it gets more difficult, there's always a skin or two that's like, oh yeah, that's going to be a meta one to go to for sure. Right. But you know, in these instances, it really comes down to, again, the last push here, with how important the momentum swung back for FIFA Kill and company, the mid game, how crucial it was for a lot of our top trios. Now comes the interesting part of the broadcast where we can talk about just pressure that's applied to every other trio. If you're a team like Biffle, putting 10 kills on the board, even if you're not winning, is points that other people have to work through.
Big shots coming out from Noobs. He managed to at least hit a couple of snipers and then pulls out the deagle and essentially gets at least 1 hit, but it wasn't enough. And in the meantime, though, he's going to go ahead and take it. Actually gets pushed. I wasn't expecting that, but he absolutely was. That was Brax he takes down, a very, very talented player. So already, blood has been shed, and Noobs is not looking to back down.
Well, we have a sniper in the hands of Noobs, and again, you get 1 per team.
Oh,
my God,
He
I
can
think I
elect to
marked.
drop it if he wants. You get 2 tags.
Yeah,
You get 3.
I just fucking.
I was thinking maybe he might be able to pull the pilot out, but doesn't look like it.
I thought
There goes
so.
Almond, and Tommy will drop.
Right. Tommy's down. He'll be back very quickly, though, and Almond's going to be just to the left. If I'm the team on the inside, you don't have many exit points because you've got Almond on the left, you've got Noobs looking down. They're going to try and pincer in this team, but they're doing it very slowly. There's no reason to rush off the rip, especially whenever you're still waiting for Tommy to get back in. But Almond spots somebody, ends up dropping, and this is where Noob starts to shine. He drops down, picks up another one, and that's Empathy. So another big battle. So he's already got 2 big kills. I believe one on Biffle, one on Empathy. That's 2 players down. Or it should be Brax, not Biffle. And another one's going to be coming into play. The risk you run when you drop down is you know the other team, whenever they respawn, they're going to be coming back to fight you again. And now you got the low ground, and you've got to work your way up.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more you take these fights, the less of an opportunity you have to maybe rotate out the loadout drop. You want to get fully kitted early. That's always the play. But if you're getting more pressure from other squads, you're going to have to be ready to take these gunfights. And Noobs absolutely is. Gets Brax twice. You reach out, you better not miss. And Noobs punishes him twice.
I thought whenever he was shooting the ground a little bit because the recoil, I thought he lost that fight. But he manages to win it. Noobs is absolutely on fire. 3 eliminations to start off. The stadium run seems to be a positive one, and this is where we saw in-game in game number 4, right, where FIFA Kill managed to get the win. And this very building, I believe, is very close to where we saw Breadman and Jowo and them. But Noobs is finally going to fall. Empathy comes back for revenge and takes him down.
And N-Tex will clean up 1. So again, we split some of our resources on the opposite side, and more rooftops being more pressure. E-Bates will fall. Lula will as well. Lula, of course, won that game 1 last week and stayed in that first place spot for a couple of games before the rise of other teammates in squads. Biffle specifically kind of overtook that spot. But in this moment, we'll see what Intex and company can do from this spot. Sean J still up. I believe low on plates, but alive in the play. Working off the rooftop.
Working off the rooftop. Flanked. Smixy attracts. Man, 18th place last game, Space. That was the lowest placing we have seen them get, and that was such a slow game. We literally had 18 teams going into where respawns were disabled. We have not seen that yet. And Smixy was that 18th team to be eliminated, already running into troubles once again. Flanked is going to drop. Attract, though, is going to drop Indo. So that's going to be Attract as well as Smixy up. We go back to Intex, Sean J, and Co., who are going for the loadout drop. Intex is going to stay back just in case something goes awry on the loadout.
Well, if you're Smixy and company, you cannot afford to have a top 16 finish here in this game.
No.
If you drop out that early, I do not see a way where you're going to break into maybe the top 5. Like, with the amount of kills and eliminations people are putting on the board, with the placements they're playing for, that's a mountain you probably won't be able to climb. Are they able to do it? Absolutely, but it's going to be a nearly impossible task. So they have to be playing for placements in this game. Even if they only get 2-3 elims, focus on the late game. For a lot of our teams here, especially when you're competing against the likes of Sage, the likes of Biffle, they're going to put 10-15 elims consistently on you. You have to be able to respond with the multiplier.
Biffle on your screen. He got a couple of tags and a player up ahead. Sage is also going to try and fly and dive straight into a player if he can. Down low, Biffle spots him. Good tracking. And I'm sure he was able to get that down. We go to Shifty's perspective, masterfully going on the roof. As soon as I say, well, still finds his way on the rooftop. Well done. He is a master, like I was saying anyways. I should have just finished the point. Shifty will join Biffle. And like I said, I think Biffle did pick up that Elam earlier. But you mentioned the points, right, Smixy? Can't afford to have a bad game. Biffle's sitting at 80-plus points already. And we're on game number 5. There's 2 more additional games. So for sure, they're going to break that 125-point record that they got last week for first place. They're going to be in like 140, 150. So that has to be your goal if you want to get $10,000 earned today for first.
There's still money on the line, which, feels like obviously a crucial part of a lot of their placements. But remember, there is $20,000 up for grabs. Of course, it's divvied on up between your placements, but still a good chunk of change to play through. Great shots from Noobs on the rotation. Low in the ammo, but going to try to dip around the tree. Not able to do so. Will get caught. Brax gets him twice. You give two, you take two. It looks like these two will be going at it for the majority of this game.
Yeah, push it, yeah.
You still there, yeah?
All right, at the paintball stadium, what this whole thing is based off of. We're fighting, right? This kind of is poetic. I like it, and we had to have a battle here. I don't think we had one in game, or it should be week 1. Now we got one in week 2, and it is a battlefield. But instead of paintball, we're shooting real bullets, and players are falling. And that stadium, man, is an area you probably want to avoid next time.
And it's a very brief one, I think, we got in week 1. If anything, it was a fly-through. This team's hit the rotation, zone closing behind, but even here, Scummin, who had late-game heroics, I want to say 2 games ago, really keeping his team involved, picking up multiple eliminations, able to pull his team towards a top 3 finish, unable to close it out, looking for that victory royale here in game number 5. 4 games down, 4 to go. And for this team, a big performance is what's needed. Split on the numbers. It looks like he was the only one around for the moment.
That's Gorgo. An aggressive player, a talented player. Good shots. Forced to dip low, though. Smoke has to come out because now that he drops down, that player who he was just fighting against most likely is going to try and beam him from a distance, but he gets away in time. The smokes are used very well, and now he's working his way up to join Unrational and Scummin. And well, maybe I spoke a bit too soon. That team does, in fact, chase him. That was a full-on trio who takes him out, and that was actually Super Evan's crew space. So we have Super Evan, Swag, who's going to be facing off against Unrational and Scummin very shortly.
Yep, I like that call from Super Evan. Like, confirm the kill. Just get one. And for a trio that has struggled to, let alone make it to the end game, but win the kill department, you need everything you got at this point. So I like that investment.
I low-key might grab my pistol class, no cap.
If you want.
And it looks like we will be at least getting a UAV, so this should help Trio just to get back into play.
I'm not gonna zip, but I'm gonna fly.
You want to zip, Trey, or you want to just...
On me.
I'm not touching again.
Leave Super Evan up top. He's going to be kind of isolated. Players are going to be on him and swagging them. They've got to run up as quickly as possible. And again, it's that Scummin roster, right? So this is the guys you don't want to run into as far as I'm concerned. Plus, you have Sean J there. I feel like Sean J consistently finds her and her squad in the mix of 2 very talented trios, and they just kind of get caught in the crossfire because the main storyline, right, was Scummin, as we're seeing Gorgo going against Joe, who was in pursuit and chasing them, and now you got Sean J here, so things get a little bit messy, but you got the Battle of the Titans all in this one building.
It feels a lot like her trio's getting the treatment that Smixy had last tournament, where, you know, it's just, God, they're just getting caught in these really tough situations between 2 teams. I like this spot from Scummin.
I'm gonna try to go hit my loadout.
Won't amount to much. You can hear him saying we're going to go hit the loadout, try to get more ammo, but more importantly, an opportunity to re-challenge that gunfight. Is Unrational working through the top side and will do all he can to, again, continue to ping out and pick up eliminations.
Nice to see this team, though, doing as well as they have. I don't think they're top 10 at the moment, but we've seen some big games from them, a lot of potential, and some big names as a whole. Good finish. That's one. Scummin will go ahead and back away, smoke out. Precision airstrike coming in, so he's got to dip onto the inside. Unrational onto his perspective on top of the building. And he's going to have that high ground. Potentially a player will be crossing in. Look at how many players are coming back into play. I mean, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, and Unrational has his pick at anybody.
And it feels like the sentries in the sky are much more comfortable in today's tournament because of the lack of the Signal 50, because of the lack of the snipers. And that was, you know, pretty 1 + 1 = 2. We were expecting it, but again, when it comes to fruition, it has been a change that's been noticeable. More teams getting an opportunity to drop down, regroup with their squads, and again, find an opportunity to pick off information that is so useful in the late game. Power position for the moment, Unrational.
He just ran right there.
AR in hand. We'll try to clean up this last kill. Can't do it.
Break shield. Break shield. Oh, up top, though. He's got to disengage. Try and dive away if he possibly can. Oh, he's going to try and go for the bait and switch, so he gets it, or excuse me, Gorgo is going to drop. Scummin's forced to back away, or should be Unrational is. Smoke's going to be out. He's now in survival mode. That's all he cares about, is just staying up. Now he can join his long-standing duo, though, of Scummin. So Gorgo also is going to be back into play. This has been a long fight space that's been extended and taking quite a bit of time, and I believe in 15 seconds respawns are going to end, so this is do or die. I mean, and speaking of which, right, he's down, and with respawns ending, this trio could be out shortly.
And a track will fall too. You know, Natasha, between kills and pings, lighting up the kill feed. Zepti redeployed. Strength for the squad, back to full numbers here. But you hear footsteps above, and I do not believe... I don't think that is them. I don't think that's Natasha.
I think that is.
20 outside. Dead.
We got Iceman Isaac, veteran himself. Love watching him play. Got the coolest stream setup, by the way. Even though he drops, gotta shout that out. Literally looks like he's underwater, but Iceman Isaac down, bleeding out, no self-revive, but does get a ping, and surprisingly, that player Empathy doesn't go for the finish. And the reason why he does it is he wants to bait out the rest of his teammates to kind of come back for a revive. And it's honestly like a red herring, because it's like, dude, Iceman Isaac's bleeding out. He's like, hey, I've got a guy. I see him right in front of me. I can call out exactly where he's at. Maybe gives a bit too much confidence to his teammates who aggressively and recklessly push in. And that player is obviously waiting right at the doorstep to take you down. So good play coming out from Empathy in his roster just a little bit earlier. Now we're down to 16. Another slow games, which tells me Space teams are getting adjusted to what Vondel Resurgence is.
Yeah, it seems like we're kind of hitting the slowdown of a lot of our games around the 40 or so player mark now, right? Like, we've gone from everybody kind of flying on all cylinders and shooting everything they got into the final zone to, all right, when we've survived the first 2 or 3 zones, we've gotten the eliminations we want, then we're going to take smart gunfights and we're going to slow the pace down to a crawl. So everybody's kind of pulling back and just waiting for one bad mistake, one small misstep from another trio.
That's safe.
And this is where things get really interesting.
What's outdoors? Natasha, very talented player. We've seen her make some really great plays. Her with Inno combined. It's going to be a solid duo for anybody to go against that they run into. Swag, though, has spotted some competition. This squad does not shy away from an engagement, and Swag is not going to start now. Oh, but drop. C-Colors has to kind of carry the torch a little bit forward. Super Evan is the guy that is beaming them down. Inno runs into Natasha, or excuse me, Inno and Natasha run into Super Evan. And Natasha, I believe, is still alive. She's probably going to disengage as Inno falls.
I'm going to keep my medic.
Okay. You got that timber, Chris. We got to go up. We got to go up.
Feels like one of the first times in forever we've seen this trio in the late game.
True.
My eyes deceive me. 5 eliminations for Super Evan. Can they start to close out the endgame push? Man, what a win for this trio would be so crucial. Like, I talk about just a complete flip of script.
Yeah, I think they need it. They need the confidence boost because they didn't have a good week 1.
I want to keep my medic. I'm going to keep my medic.
Granted, Swag wasn't here. They did have Blast in play, and Blast did very, very well. But it just felt like they were consistently running away from fights because they had to, because they just weren't staying alive. I think a player in the back of that van gets wall banged. This is Aiden. This is the first time we have seen Aiden, Adrian, and co. like really have a solid game. They've definitely existed, right? And they consistently do, and we talked about them being middle of the pack. This game, depending on how it turns out, could be the game to put them closer to top 3, maybe even second place.
It was just solo. He's just behind, like, by the staircase.
Well, you can hear at least the information that you got one solo. You could peel off and try to take that fight. If you're successful, it's 1 elim. Make it 8. Adrian, the newest addition towards the squad. Aiden, a rated long-standing duo. Tarsha on your screen. Working through the gas. Trying to dip out of pressure. Push control's tough. 2 eliminations. Trying to make it 3. We'll do so.
Oh, there's 2 people here. That's a good drop. That's a great job. Now she's got the high ground. She can still take cover. She gets kitted up. There's going to be more. We could be seeing a multiple here. And that was Swag that she takes down. Super Evan also fell. A team that needed a great game. You set that storyline up, Space, and Natasha just absolutely crushes their dreams. And she does it by herself. Riding the edge of zone. Gets the finish on the Z-Colors. That's going to be a full squad wipe, I believe.
Yeah.
And she's top 5.
Yeah, I mean, there was a smoke that wasn't hers that allowed her to dip out of dodge. It actually worked out in her favor. Natasha trying to avoid the pressure. She is caught in the zone, though. That's going to be the tough thing.
1v3.
I might get it. Oh, no, I didn't get it.
1v3 in the moment. Natasha will fall, and Z Smith and co. will go ahead and pick up a 21 elimination game, but Space, I mean, I'm impressed with Natasha. What a solid ending, picking up the entire trio of Swag & Co., who needed a great game, and I guess they get third place. That's still a great game from them, but Natasha destroys and dismantles them one by one.
No, that was huge. I mean, like, look, we're looking at the last push, the real first chance it feels like Z Colors and Super Evan have for this trio from 2 weeks in a row, not being able to put it together. Finally, they have a late game push. They got a couple of kills to fall their way, but Natasha, it just constantly finding an opportunity to not only the movement, just excellent up top, but the opposite smoke that wasn't hers. She avoids the pressure, dips out, uses the smoke as cover, screens herself back into the shrubbery, and is able to pick up that final kill to, again, wipe the squad. I mean, that is how you play your movement and play your individual life to the fullest in the late game. It just came down to a 1v3 with positioning where she wasn't going to be able to get out of there unscathed. And in the end, Z Smith closed out game 5, but really the standout was that final play. She was just phenomenal.
That's right. Hisoka, though, big win coming out from them alongside that Z Smith. You know, come on, Hisoka. I know a lot of fans are wanting them to play incredibly well. That's a big game for them. 21 eliminations, not the biggest we've seen today. That still sits at 28. But anytime that you're picking up 20 Space, you're going to be feeling good and feeling great. That moves you up the list. And even Aiden and Co had a pretty solid finish themselves, which we know they've been kind of middle of the pack today. But one thing that they pride themselves on is the eliminations that they get consistently. And even a fun fight over at the paintball stadium, which was absolutely bloody, but that's going to be a spot we're going to see consistently because of this man and this team right here. Noob starting off with 3 eliminations, his teammates dropping around him, but Noob's refusing to fall.
It started off really promising for this trio, and Noobs picking up 2-3 kills in a row before eventually the response from that trio came back to bite him, and it just kind of crumbled from there. But Intex was doing all he could on the rooftops, and again, a couple of our squads started to slow down and use the high ground to push themselves into the late game to really isolate some of these trios rotating late. But it just came down to kind of a creeper's crawl here, where it seemed like, all right, we got about 40 players still up, everybody's holding their positions. Then we wait for the last push, and as things started to develop, we saw more cracks in the armor for a lot of these teams, as they couldn't get out of dodge, they couldn't get stuck in the zone, and they couldn't find the angles on these gunfights. And really, it just was the late game rotation in the end from Z Smith and company that kind of pushed them over the edge. A very quiet game 5 from all teams, it felt like.
Very quiet indeed. Again, we were in that same situation where we had 17 trios, 18 trios left by the time Resurgence ended. Respawns were disabled, and we kind of gave that a testament to where we're reaching that peak where I believe teams are just figuring out how to stay alive, figuring out how to get their teammates back into play, even if they're running into issues. And that's a great thing, and that means that we are evolving when it comes to you know, Vondel Resurgence. But this was that play, man. Nat just going huge in this moment. And just having that high ground was absolutely pivotal. But I love your call, Space, about the smoke play, right? Getting the smoke, using that, even if it wasn't hers, to then drop down and take out Z Colors.
Yeah, again, like, the movement is absurd. And the centering, too. Like, to take that fight when you're jumping back and recentering, like, people don't often recognize it's not just about the movement, it's also about the placement of your reticle. It sounds really simple, but like, it's incredibly hard to do. The fact that she took on 3 members, took them all out, found the 4th, worked through the smoke for the 5th, just that is one of the best plays of the day. Just phenomenal all the way around.
Best play of the day, I would absolutely agree with that. We might have a couple more good plays. Game 5 is finished and Game 6 is about to begin. But before it does, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Game 6 and standings coming your way.
20.
And welcome back, everybody, to Lions versus Drakes, the Vondel Battles. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Spaceman, and that is 5 games done. About to hop into game number 6, which last week would have been our final game. We added 2 more because of community feedback, so we got more Resurgence to go.
We do. You thought we were going to be done with 6. No, we asked the players, and they said, we just want 2 extra games. That's exactly what we're going to give them. So this is the fun part. Like, usually when we come down the end of the rope here, we're like, all right, like, what are the results going to look like? We still got a couple of games to go, but the results are closing, and that's the important thing. Gorgo9 has dropped down to 5th. Aiden's moved up 1 spot. Biffle's still sitting in 1st, and FIFA Kill in 2nd. This is a very interesting race to top 4, because I believe it's top 5 you're in the money. But yeah, Biffle's still in 1st. They didn't have the greatest game 5. Game 6 coming up. This one could be for all the marbles.
So Gorgo Knights with Unrational and Scummin. Wonderful job. They've been very consistent, more so than last week. Biffle, though, this is the big thing for me, sitting at 124.7 points. Now we're going to game 6. After game 6 last week, they finished at 125.8 points. So they are 1.1 points away from already beating their record from just last week. I knew for sure they were going to do it earlier, but I thought they were going to do it after like game 7 or game 8, right? An additional game. No, they're doing it even better than they did last week. They are so good and so consistent. But FIFA Kill is the biggest surprise for sure, being in 3rd place where they're currently at, and Gorgo being in 2nd. Those 2 teams speak volumes because it shows they are getting better and better and better. So our top 5 race, brother, is so close.
That's what we love, and that's why I think extending it to 2 extra games is really important, because this would be the one where we say, all right, all the marbles, if you're in 1st place or 2nd, just get a couple elims, you're good. But now it comes down to the wire where we're really winding up the tension for a lot of our trios. And speaking of, the gap has widened. I thought we were going to get a little bit closer as the day continued on, and we got to an extent there, but not right now. At the moment, the Drakes are just kind of in cruise control, and if they cross 15,000 or 1,500, like 20 points, something like that, like 1,500 points, I think at that point, this one might be done for the day. And there's the update. All right, so yeah, never mind. Just ignore what I just said. It's already they're in cruise control. We're good.
They're already
scary.
there.
Scary. Yeah.
I love it, man. Drakes, they're just tearing it up. It's crazy to me.
That's what we do.
It really is just how good that they have consistently been. There's a lot of powerhouse players there, and well, here we are, right, going into game number 6, starting off with Skullface, Ahsoka, and crew, who won game number 5 just a little bit earlier with 21 eliminations. That put them well up the leaderboard, and they are looking to break even their record from last week, where they managed to get 2nd place. Can they overtake Biffle? Honestly, at this point, Biffle's still leading. No surprise with the consistency, but 1st place is highly contested today.
Yeah, if Biffle and company don't get a victory royale again for the rest of today, there's a good chance they get overtaken, but they just need, again, we've talked about it time and time again, top 3 finish. Placements is the most important thing with a multiplier. A couple of eliminations, you're probably good to go. Regardless, for this squad, trying to move back into, I think, around the top 3. I think they were just bumped out. If not, still one of the more consistent trios we've seen for 2 weeks now. Remember, this is a squad that really came up late in the surge at the end of week 1, had a huge placement, and helped with their overall points going into this 2nd event. They have really impressed and stayed consistent. One of the, I guess you call, underdogs in the entire roster of players we've had. This whole trio has really stepped up.
So they choose to land over, I believe, I think at Maw, if I'm not mistaken. So Maw is going to be a pretty decently contested area, but also not the hottest drop. I think the hottest drop, from what I've been noticing, is over by Stadium, where TBE is currently at, because you got Sean J over there. I believe you got Empathy, who's over there. You've got quite a few very talented trios, so that's most likely going to be the most competitive. But even now, right, you got Unrational, Scum, and Gorgo Knights, who are quickly working their way up, currently 2nd place, which is a huge surprise to me, not because I doubt them, but because last week they weren't doing as well as they are this week. And again, that could be because they were playing in World Series of Warzone, but this week they're star-studded.
And all it takes is one good game and a couple of consistent placements, and all of a sudden you find yourself in the money. Steps a ring around the corner. Good shots from Gorgo Knight. Make it 1. Teammates working and doing damage on the other side. But never mind. They will be taking that damage.
It's a give and take. It's a give and take. Gorgo and Rational. Unrational is, I believe, a little bit further down. Gorgo by himself gets hit by an absolute apartment complex. taken down. That happened so quick, even he was a little bit stunned after that. I don't know if he had any plates on, but on Rational now, we go onto his perspective. And I believe this was right before Gorgo ended up falling. And he's going to go ahead and pick up a 2-play, which is going to be great for him to have. So now at this point in time, or on Rational, it's just loot up, kit up, and they get ready to fight that team that took down Gorgo just a little bit earlier. And they will fight. They will fight.
That's what we want to see. Track falls. Flanked for one, looking for the second. Great dodge as well. The snakes are always going to be snaking, but you know what? It works out. Can't hate it. It's got to get better with it.
That's it.
No, it looked like you might be able to clean up that second elimination. I think that player dipped out of dodge just in time. Regardless, though, off to a hot start. Might have ran into one, but makes it work regardless.
Forget who it was. It was CDL Pro during the season. If you're not snaking, you're not winning. It's kind of
Sounds like Celium.
it might have been. You know, I mean, but that's a factual statement,
It's
man.
true.
If you're not snaking, you know, when it comes to MW2 or Warzone 2, like you're not winning. It's just so effective.
Yeah.
But here we are, Space Smixy, right? They've had some struggles the past couple of games, and it's been because of their initials, and they're once again in an initial. Flaked is down. We saw Smixy a little bit earlier throwing a drill charge. Attract is down. That, to me, means Smixy needs to stay up. She needs to stay up.
Yep. And again, this trio gets caught in a precarious situation. How many times early game have they struggled with escaping the opening pressure? Whether or not they do, it usually led to they're kind of out of position, and then they have to really work overtime to get back into a groove late game. This is going to be a tough one to fight through. One of the rare times we've seen Aiden and company on your screen. Adrian, the newest addition, again, towards this trio. A huge opportunity for them here in Game 6.
I love this trio. Qualified for World Series Warzone Global Finals in September at the Copperbox Arena. And like you said, Adrian, that new addition, I mean, to come in and play and be as young as he is, and then to play alongside the long-standing duo of Aiden and Raiden is a big deal, but kind of overstays his welcome, shooting, hitting some good shots, but gets dropped himself halfway for the self-revive. He's going to just go ahead and pop it. You can tell he wanted to maybe hold off a little bit so his teammate can get up there, Raiden, and res him, but it just wasn't worth the risk. Then you have to respawn. Go ahead and use it. Maybe you get another one. You can buy another one, but keep your head on a swivel and start firing at the players down in the water.
Yeah, you do get the spread that's quite nice from this trio. Aiden so far out, and the danger there is if he gets caught, there's not going to be enough to be able to go help him out regardless, though. You do get the revive thanks to Resurgence. So you can afford to kind of invest some of your numbers out. You can afford to get a little aggressive.
Yep.
You don't want to do it too often, though.
No. Like if you get overly reckless, or should be overly aggressive, it turns into recklessness. Nobody ever wants that. There's a fine line, a fine balance that you have to have in competitive gaming.
This late in the tournament too, man, just not worth it, you know.
No, especially with like top 5 as close as it is. I mean, you mentioned 1 kill, comes down to 1 kill. There were teams who didn't qualify for World Series Warzone because of 0.1 points. I mean, that is less than a kill. Like that's an additional, placement points, and it's the same applies here. But this is a common sight, man. Swag, Z Colors, Super Evan. We've seen some glimpses of great plays from them, but for the most part, they get into these fights and they just seem to fall apart, and I can't quite pin why that is yet. But maybe it is that they are too aggressive because they love to push. They push hard, but maybe they just need to taper that off a bit and play a little bit more methodically.
Really interesting case study we could do on this trio.
It's true.
For like just how things have gone for them as, again, Swag will drop. Evan's up in 30. Z-Colors has to be very, very careful here. If they go out, you're basically kissing away your opportunity to fight for even top 5 here.
Yeah, he's not going to move.
He shouldn't.
Smoke or something to grab it.
Hit the chest if you can.
I don't want to peek. It's outside on the balcony, bro.
Okay, don't worry about it. Don't worry
One in front of you, too.
Yeah, just play time.
I would.
You're good. Just save it.
Somebody's on the balcony. Evan didn't have a bad idea. Like, see if he can hit a chest, get a smoke, you can disengage, but this was the right play, and he gets his teammates back in. So good job. Sometimes the best play is to do nothing.
Yeah. Discipline is huge.
He ran in bottom on Uzi. He's an absolute. Yes.
Oh, this is one of our winning teams today. In Game 3, it was only 15 eliminations overall, 5 apiece for every single member. Not a huge, in terms of like just elimination count, it's actually one of the lowest. We started Game 1 last week with 19 from Lula and company. 15 for Z-Lantern squad, which again is enough to get them the victory. The multiplier helps, but you could see in the leaderboards earlier that it didn't really help them in the standings because they just didn't have enough for the multiplier to really kick in.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is like, what's a victory worth if you're not picking up eliminations?
Sure.
You're only going to get so far, and you notice on your top 10s to the left here, Destroy's team isn't there currently, but I don't think they're that far away either from breaking in and maybe even passing that of Juki's, which there's Juki's, right? I kind of brought him up a little bit earlier. 4th place last week. Juki's playing with 4 and Jace. Vision was at least last week, and how has that roster been doing? Are they getting any better? Well, they've got to try to get up to 4th to at least match their performance from last week with the Visions. And 10th place just isn't going to do it. But all eyes on Destroy for the current time being. And they're going to be playing the edge of the zone, getting kitted up. And UAV is going to be popped. A lot of choices, a lot of lanes they can choose. It's just a matter of which one do they want to go for.
And I always love doing just quick picks over with Z-Laner and Destroy, because Z-Laner, I mean, it always feels like every gunfight he's in is like the last gunfight they need to win the game. It's always the most chaotic, but they usually are able to work through it. Clutch Belk will fall. Z-Laner is out, but he's coming back just momentarily. On his way. And it feels like they're maybe not in the best position they want to be in, having to use a smoke to invest to get across. Not going to do so for free.
Yeah. Well, the issue they have, Space, is like they've got to cross the river, you know, and it's like, do you go into water, which is now their only choice they have because they can't stay in the gas. So, I mean, it was just, they didn't want to rotate in, you know, too early because they had teams just absolutely pinning them down. Oh, no way! That is going to be gifted towards him. If he can pick it up, we've got a battle, a punching fest in the water, and he'll pick up one. Destroy gets absolutely gifted an elimination. He's going to be on a 5-kill streak, and by the grace of the Warzone gods, they find some respite inside the building. Good on them.
That is quite literally a gift from the COD gods. You do not get that often, if ever, on rotation, especially with a player just essentially working under you and giving you a free lane into the spot that you wanted anyway.
Nah, I think you land maybe near us.
And now you can kind of slow down the patience and the pacing of this team. But with how electric they've been in the comms, with how much is riding on this squad, given the fact they put up 15 eliminations, found the victory in game number 3. This game 6 matters so much, closing out today. It all comes down to a couple of gunfights that could go their way. Let's jump into a listen in with the trio.
Yep, I'm snaking. Come up, right here. Got you, baby. Got you, baby. I got him. I got him. Smoking. Here's, please.
I need plates back.
Okay. Right here, look. I dropped 2. I dropped 2 for you. Yep. Z, can you drop me your money? I'll get us an armor box. Do you have a smoke or no?
I don't have a smoke. I don't have a smoke.
I got the armor box inside.
Come here. Yeah. I want to lurk this right side, or you want to stay here?
Come back for a sec.
That team up top's gonna be focused on us.
Yeah, if we go that side, I agree.
Look at all this space.
Yeah, we could get to that guy. Oh yeah, I like this. I'm with you.
I'm coming. I need a light ammo.
Here. Light right there.
Redeploy flare. Thank you.
Look at zone pool. Did we get a UAV here? Yep.
What'd you say, CB?
500. He's gonna pop us to you.
Come on.
We can go right. I'm with.
Yes, focus. Look at the UAV. Just take a good scan at that.
Yeah, we have to get in.
Rotate. Can we just get bottom of like City Hall? Come on, yeah, the faster the better. Or we can work in these.
Yeah, I'm following Belk, and we're just gonna get in.
I'm just looking at options. I'm looking at
options. Love it.
Look at that green mark.
Okay, I see that. I would like that.
Maybe that green mark.
It's bad.
No? Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
follow me. We get inside.
I'm with you, CB. Put us in a power spot, baby.
Dropping into the AO. CB. Behind me, Jim Chow.
There's two.
I got one cracked.
We don't have to push that. Oh, I like this now.
Yeah, they're getting pinched.
On me. In the smoke.
I'm inside.
20. Dead. Got him.
Stay inside. Come inside.
Stabilize,
Come inside.
stabilize.
See?
I can't yet. I got you. Hold on.
Okay.
On the stairs.
He's low.
I got you, D.
Love it.
Bullet. Wait, full kit. I got a mortar. I got a thing on my body. Oh, Flare's on my body. Yes, D. Flare's on my body. I have one knocked inside, D.
I'm looking for it. I don't see the flare.
I think he took it. Fuck.
Come in. Call in. Do you have a medic, please?
I am as quick as
I'm doing it here. It's okay.
Yes. You have enough for a res too. If you
I'm gonna get this flare. I'm looking for it.
He took it. I think he took it. I heard him shoot it up.
I don't have smokes.
Look at this. Look at these guys here. I have one knocked above, D.
Wow. I mean, if you ever wanted to hear how the brains of 3 just generals are working in Warzone, this is the way to do it. You talk about having options from Z-Laner, giving constant callouts. You talk about quick decisions from Destroy moving in, finding those kills. And in the end, it's just constant ebb and flow of these comms. Just like, all right, I like that. I like this play. Now we can start to move. Now we can start to make the rotation. Just a masterful execution across the board.
And a constant reassurance, like, I got you, don't worry about it. Hey, I'm going to pick up the elim. You know, just the confidence they have in each other to have each other's back is truly phenomenal. The only tense moment was when Destroy was, you know, by himself, and then he was forced to try, or at least he was told to go for the flare gun so he can get the revive. He couldn't find it. I believe one of the teams that they were fighting ended up getting it and quickly getting out. But Destroy is on fire. Heck of a game coming out from this man. Currently 8 eliminations, and a large majority of that coming from those tense moments that we just saw a little bit earlier in the listen-in.
Look at these freebies, Z.
I mean, you go from the most hectic rotation possible to a free kill in the water to another rotation that works out through smokes and gunshots, and then a team fight inside, and Destroy still roaming looking for this kill, working through the gas for the moment. We'll find another. 8 eliminations to his name. Destroy and Z-Laner just absolutely lighting it up.
They are.
Whew.
It'll be a bigger game even than they had before. I mean, honestly, they need it. You know, 15 eliminations I felt was pretty low for this roster, though. Destroy finds a player, but there's the teamwork. You got teammates for a reason, and Z-Laner picks up the slack to repay Destroy's efforts just a little bit earlier as he stayed alive for the longest time, and that puts Destroy up to 9. Z-Laner, who knows where he's currently sitting at, but this is a great game. We're now down to 8 trios. That multiplier, 1.8 time space with the amount of elims that this trio is going to have. I mean, absolutely top 10 performance.
That's not a duo I want to face in the late game. How much chemistry they've had since the inception of Warzone. If there's anybody who's going to pull it off, a late game push and a potential victory, it might be them. Soka in the water, very weak. Skullface as well. This team's kind of caught where Aiden and company were just a game ago. Make it 2 or so. All right. And they are just trying to work through the chaos.
That's it. I mean, that's all. I mean, it's going to be chaos. Moving zone's going to be right behind them. They've got to swim through the water to get onto the other side, and they're already well ahead of the game. Skullface made a great play hopping onto that tugboat. He gets a precision airstrike, which he just pops off to kind of alleviate some of that pressure just so he can get away. But for Hisoka, unfortunately, he's down, but he's getting back into play. But you never want to be in the water, but I guess in this moment, it is worth it. Skullface picks up yet another elimination. That's going to be on Destroy. So Destroy, through all that effort, goes to the water, runs into Skullface, and loses his life. Z-Laner, though, I believe is still up.
Oh, they did so much work just to, again, test the water one more time. And Skullface, with the patience, understood somebody's probably going to rotate.
Got in the water and we didn't see him?
No, I was in the water. Oh, right side, my water.
They're looking for the last one. Beautiful placements in the final zone. Just need one more wipe to do it, and they will get it. 25 eliminations. Wow. And back-to-back wins as well. That is huge.
Huge space. Absolutely massive. You go 21 eliminations. Now you get 25 in the first team. Space to win back-to-back games.
Man.
At a time where it matters most, because Biffle was looking so strong as they normally do. Where were they this game? Didn't talk about them that much, right? It was all Destroy, Z-Laner, right, popping off. And mind you, still a wonderful, wonderful game from them that could very well still put them in top 10. But the big storyline, Hisoka, back-to-back games, 46 eliminations across 2 games. That right there is first place, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah. If you ever had any question of where the multiplier is going to hit, it's here. You talk about winning game 5. You need even more kills to help with the multiplier. You get 4 extra, another 25 bomb again, that seems to kind of be the threshold for a lot of our top teams. 25 eliminations, what you can get. We'll just call it that number. Game 6, the most crucial one so far of the tournament today. You got game 7 and 8 coming up, but now is the chance to make a push and to overtake some of those second and third place spots that we have in our leaderboards to play in the money. And man, did they do it. But it really was the Destroy show. Z-Layer and Destroy together just put on a clinic.
Put on a clinic, man. But you know, from one strong performance to a weak performance, right? Super Evan and co. Like, by the way, I love Super Evan. Like, you know, that's my boy. He's great. You know, I talk to him from time to time, but just I know this is not the performance they want. Seems like they're running into these tricky fights, and same thing could be said for Smixy and her trio, right? They're just not finding success. Like, attract, flank, Smixy, they're doing everything they can, but it's just not working out. Swag did everything in his power during that moment to stay up, and like we said, sometimes the best play is not to do anything. He does that, he gets his teammates back in, but they don't find any success really after that point in time. And this was that fight I was talking about where he's last alive, he chooses the corner behind the pool table, stays up.
You know, it feels like, again, like when we get kind of into these monotonous grinds for a lot of teams, you know, you get a really strong, hot early game, and then you slow things down to a crawl. For other squads, it was just about surviving the early game. We criticized Aided and Company a little bit for it in week 1. They turned it around, and they were able to find a victory out of it. But when we look at, like, Smixy, when we look at other squads who still are kind of struggling to get through that early game, it's got to be so frustrating from their POV, because it's like, you know they can make the push. They know they can get in the money, but they just can't escape some of these awkward gunfights, these awkward engagements that they get. Third-partying or being third-party, it's got to be really difficult, and you either need heroics like this from, like, Destroy, where he's just picking up kills left and right, or you need a rotation from the gods that works out in your favor. But it has been the consistency from Biffle, it has been the consistency from Z-Smith and company. The positioning in the end, the skull face, just gross across the board. 11, 6, 8. This team, the sleepers, man, they did it in week 1, they're doing it in week 2. They just stay consistent, and I don't even know what to say. They're so good.
Good. I mean, they're incredible. And you know, Hisoka, Skullface, and them, like, they don't get to the position they are in without composure and adaptability. I mean, that's what Warzone competitive BRs in general are all about. That's game 6 done. Only 2 more games to go. So for those teams fighting to try and make the money in top 5, there's only a limited number of time to do so. No more. All right, so we don't have just 5-6 games anymore, just 2 more to go. When we come back, game 7's going to be coming your way along with standings. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Lock it the fuck in. No. He's like on that level right there. Yeah, you gotta. Level it. Got him. Nice. Lamb. 20. Watch out.
didn't get it. Oh no, I didn't get it. Fuck. Good shit though, fellas.
Yo, what the fuck is wrong with Skulls, Mike? Did you hear him?
No, bro, I don't know what the fuck just happened.
Yo, what's wrong with Mike? No. I can't even hear him, bro.
What do you?
On the bottom. Okay, back on the water. Get down. Get that phone. Fucking hell, bro.
All right, welcome to Lions versus Drake, the Vondel Battles. Game number 7's getting loaded up, so Space, let's take a look at our standings.
Let's do it, brother. Listen, the points have continued to filter on in. I'm just happy, man. But Team Biffle still at the top, 157.2. Ahsoka
Surprising,
moving
actually.
up into second. This is the big thing. Like, 2 back-to-back wins is still not enough to dethrone Biffle and company. That is a
wild.
shocker to me.
That is wild.
insane.
That's a great point, because it's like, I thought for sure Hisoka was in first. I even set it up and said they're going to be in first, but
Yeah.
Biffle's squad, like, again, even if they're not winning, they're still doing so consistently well at their drop that it's just working out. And you have to respect that. Success is success, but 2 more games to go. Anything can happen, but look at that lead from first and second down to third with FIFA, and that's going to be a 32-point difference, right? And then from there, it's very, very close. So really, the race from 3rd to 10th is absolutely there, and then the race for first, nothing is guaranteed. So 2 distinct battles taking place.
And 2 very distinct squads we've seen fight their way through Vondel Resurgence, but so far it has been House Drakes who have been stepping away with the lead and continuing it. Granted, we still got 3 weeks of action to get through. This is not the end of anything, but it is just a sign of what could potentially come. But the most important factor right now, reflections, Game 7 on our screens, the last push for a lot of squads. Is somebody going to dethrone Biffle? This squad has barely shown up in the last 2 games, yet they're still in first place. I don't know how they're doing it.
Well, it's kind of like Aiden's crew. Like, you know, Aiden and them consistently stay within top 10 and then sneakily make their way up to top 5, kind of like they did last week, which they're looking to do that again this week. But you know, it's the same thing with like World Series Warzone and Warzone competitive in general. Like, some teams are just great for playing for in-game. Some teams are great at slaying out, and the bulk of their points come from the kills that they're able to get. And then some teams, you know, the bulk of their points are from their placings. And then you have teams like Biffle or Hisoka today, who have a little bit of both, right? They can do both consistently and therefore lead the pack tremendously.
Yeah, and again, the late game pushes that matter most right now, placements are everything. You don't need to worry about, oh, I didn't get 25 eliminations this game. That's okay. Just make it to the final couple of zones, earn the multiplier, and work through the numbers that way. For a lot of our top squads, expect them to slow down their gameplay and play for positioning early on. Watch for them to rotate into the middle of the zone and play for the high ground. They're going to want to secure their late spots.
It's been a fun trio to watch. We've been having a blast watching Gorgo and Rational Scum, and Gorgo's been one of the guys we've kind of been honing in on whenever it comes to this trio specifically. Their late game's been wonderful. Their end game has honestly been great, and just as exciting. Oh, we switched off as soon as they get into a fight. But of course, we've got to watch TBE fighting over at the paintball arena, the paintball stadium. Last time we were here, Space, it was a bloodbath.
Maybe that'll be the same kind of success that Noobs had prior. Was able to find a couple eliminations last game before getting traded, and eventually the squad succumbs to that opening pressure. But he will be running the sniper, really the only one in the moment. I feel like for the squad that's been electing to pull out the snipe. You get 1 per team. Signal 50 is out for today, and so on and so on. Scumming on your screen. Doesn't have the loadout he technically wants, but this team's going to be looking to get fully kitted.
At the mini bot, I swear I cannot, for the life of me, use a mini bot. But for him, oh, well, hey, you know, it just doesn't work in my hands, and in that case, it doesn't work for Scummin either. But granted, I can't win 1v1s out in the open, and he was in a 1v2 there with the mini box. So maybe it would have been different if he wasn't trying to go up the grapple line in a 1v2. And this trio just getting absolutely bodied, unfortunately. But, hey, fortunately for them, they do have a player still alive, so they should be back. Now, hone in on Smixy and attract flanked. He's going for a self-revive. He might be able to get it, but Jade, he does get it. This trio needs a good game. Like, it's imperative at this point with only 2 games remaining.
Yeah, they had a much better game in Game 6 compared to Game 5 where they were top 18. However, you want top 10. Like, just alone placements, just all kinds of multipliers. You want to at least get top 10. Top 8 would be ideal. Loadout incoming. You can certainly use it as a POI to kind of bring attention towards it. Potentially find a team or two. And we will scout. Again, snipers are not a huge factor today, so you get more opportunities to fly through the air. DJ Moss on your screen with FIFA Kill and Ebates working together. FIFA.
There's usually blue crates up here.
Excuse me. Lula. Sometimes dyslexia kicks in. Here we go.
Big Lula. Powerful player. Powerful player. Not saying big in personality and talent. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, they got the game.
She's got a lot of gun skill. Big at the game.
Last week.
Great elimination from Adrian. That's going to be one at least down. By the way, Lula and them, they are going to be by that paintball stadium, which is where TBE is at, one of our leading trios. So that's not going to be an easy fight. Hopefully they'll keep their head on a swivel. Rated inside the building up ahead. So somebody's got to be on this rooftop. Adrian knows this, but somebody's also going to be behind, and that's why Adrian was picked up by Aiden and rated, because even when taken off guard, he still somehow wins engagements and wins fights. And he does it in a dominant way where he really doesn't even lose plates. He's such a talented player, and I'm so pumped up to watch him in the global finals.
The instincts are huge, and you're going to need that for an aggressive squad like this. The tip of the spear in Aiden and rated, how quickly they can open up an engagement and really cause chaos.
I'm good. I got plates.
Gonna be difficult. Play it up for the moment. A little drop around you to the left. Still working through the high ground here for this trio. A late surge into this tournament. The most important part for now.
Down low we go once again. And nobody's going to be home for the time being, but maybe a strategy space. They stake around this buy station.
Yeah.
And honestly, staying on this perspective wouldn't be bad, because we know their initials and their mid game is pretty strong. It's their end game. They're just not getting the placement multiplier. That's kind of hurting them in the end. So right now, I would really like to see how are they successful? Where do they find success? I mean, Adrian's already on 6 eliminations, so clearly this is how they're doing so well and consistently in top 10.
Ooh, great shots. Tried to mantle. Gets punished for it. We'll use the self-revive. And now we'll wait. And you hear it there, like, look, in this instance, I think they did this a game ago as well, where it's like, look, we just got to burn it.
Last game.
And, just try to keep our numbers up. I don't hate the call at all. But if they can rally this and convert it into a late game finish, it would pay off.
Adrian's relentless, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely relentless. Takes damage. He's back to fight very, very quickly. Clearly, I mean, you can tell ranked 5 right when it comes to Warzone ranked. I mean, he has to be grinding. I think Rated just got first place in Warzone rank last night. I think he tweeted that out, if I'm not mistaken, which is just absolutely beyond me. I think 40,000 SR, 30,000 SR. So these guys are some grinders for sure. Adrian down again. And then we got Aiden and Rated, who I don't believe are going to be around. So yeah, Adrian is just going to take himself out and go for the respawn and join his teammates shortly if he potentially can. But eyes on Rated now. We haven't been able to see his perspective a lot, so this is going to be a treat.
And they will get their teammate back. So again, it kind of works out. Invest, back to full strength, and take the fight once more. You're not relinquishing the high ground. Can't blame them. More squads continue to fall. 39 up for the moment. And back to 40 as more players will funnel through. This is an interesting spot to be in. Again, we've kind of hit our mid-game now, where for this trio specifically, a team that has struggled to get towards this point, let alone put up multiple eliminations and rally that into what could be a conquering of the final couple of zones. For this moment, they have very much been holding the high ground and taking this one-on-one fight from the opposite side.
I don't see him.
Gonna be one player to the right flying in. They've been in this standoff, this battle with whoever that is. He gets to drop, so it's Z-Laner. Finally, we know who they're fighting against. Z-Laner not going to be an easy takedown. That's Destroy & Co. We know how aggressive they can get. So at any point in time, Z-Laner, when he's dropped, if he gets finished or Destroy gets finished, you better believe if they're coming down and you're not watching the skies, they're going to land on you. They're going to take you down from behind and then eventually take out the rest of your trio if they can. So these are two wonderful trios fighting on the rooftops, and I'm sure there's going to be at least a third party eventually.
I mean, I'm also surprised that nobody's run up on them from the back. Like, nobody's kind of crept through and taken out this trio, and they be very, very successful at wiping away the dreams in this Game 7 for Aiden, Adrian, and Rated. But the backs are clear. I think they're still fighting the Z-Laner squad from the other side.
Yeah.
You can hear the drop. They're like, all right, we got two that dropped. They're trying to work through the middle of the streets, and if that's the case, do we relinquish this here? I don't think you need to concede this spot. As long as you're comfortable and you're getting elimination here and there. Play for placement.
I think you run more of a risk if you do concede the spot and you leave it. I mean, because like they know what's in front of them. Even though they're not getting eliminations, they're still very aware of where everybody's at. And honestly, now with the zone as it collapses down, because they were pretty central, the zone's going to be just to the right of them, which means everybody who's going to be behind them has to rotate in. I'm talking TBE. I'm talking, I believe, Smixy's squad that we just saw a little bit earlier. So like, or maybe even Sean J. So like, these squads are going to be rotating into them. This is a great position. I would be happy if I'm Adrian and Co.
They are letting shots ring out towards the opposite side, so the zone will be a factor. You can, again, stay up here if you're Adrian and try to catch players rotating in, like we've seen before. Rated thinking the same thing. Under 30 seconds until that zone becomes a factor. So now the investment they've made on the rooftop is going to begin to pay off. Whether or not they clean up the kill is an entirely different situation. But this is what they were setting up for. Clear out the front, worry about the back. When the rotation starts, pick them apart. Now we wait.
Ooh. Here we go. Hisoka, Skullface, Z-Smith, the winners in back-to-back games just a little bit earlier. Game 5 and Game 6. Can we get a triple winner? That would be nutty. But hey, that's what you need to do if you want to dethrone Biffle's crew, because they just continue to win and stay in first place. So this is a big battle and a big focal point we need to focus on, right, Space? Because Hisoka is looking to overtake Biffle so we can have a new winner in week number 2. If they drop in this fight, that opens up the door wide for Biffle to take an even greater lead, which means game 8, they just have to do like, you know, a substandard performance and they're going to be just fine. So this rooftop fight is massive, and Skullface picked up one just a little bit earlier, and he's looking to go for number 2, gets the drop. That's why they're so good. The accuracy they have, once they get you in their line of sights, you're all but dead.
They took out Tommy too, so
yeah,
the IGL for that trio was gone. You got 3 seconds until Resurgence will end. And there we go. So now if you want to get your teammates back and have to buy them back, it's a huge investment, if anything. Almond on your screen. Found connections onto 1, onto 2. Can't crack, but the damage is done. And Tommy's still out of the play. It's up to Noobs and Almond to work together.
Ooh. Some text out. I would stay here, though. I think Almond is going to stay. This is a big game from TBE. We're looking to break into that top 2 position, which currently is like a 40-point difference. Player low. Wouldn't surprise me if Almond full sends this. He's going to go for it. This is his play style. This is where he's comfortable. Spots him, tracks him, has to dip. He's going to take a different line of sight, a different angle to this engagement if he possibly can. But don't play. You better believe it, man. Tommy's not done, Space. He's going back for more. And look at this. 3 players spotted. Noobs. He's got the intel.
And I wonder what Tommy has to work with in the gun department, too. It's gonna eventually become a problem if he doesn't have the kit he wants. And again, that will help Almond either take the gunfight or pull back. And now the rotation comes through from Noobs. Usually the furthest player out on the island. Doing so similarly here. A spot we saw Nat in earlier.
I was about to say.
Yeah. Yep. Familiar faces for sure. Can Noobs pull off something similar?
Ooh, that'd be special, wouldn't it? That'd be special, but he drops, he'll lose his life, and respawns are done. So now it's up to Tommy and Almond. See what they're going to be up to. This is our Hisoka crew going for triple wins and they're going to drop down low to the water, which this is like, when I see teams do this space, I always question, like, is it going to be worth it? It seems like it never really is, minus like if you have a player full sitting in front of you like Destroy, he got blessed by the Warzone gods, but like a lot of teams who go into the water, they end up in a situation like this where they just get beamed.
Yeah, and you're only hoping that either A, you have a smoke, which you do, or B, that you have someone who can block out the shots in front, which you have. So the only time you should be full setting into the water like this is you have the resources available to invest. Make it 3. They're looking for smokes. They need cover. The revive is back. The squad is still up and kicking.
Oh, brother, this is a perfect opportunity. I know it's a bit late in the game, but we got to do a listening with Hisoka and see what they're saying.
Here, plates behind me. I'll drop 2, 3 stacks right there. Follow me. Ready to kill one.
We can stay all the way outer. This is a great roto.
100%. 100%. Get some air right here and then go back down.
To reload. Got dropping in.
Just trade out, bro. Just trade out. That's it.
Flying down in front of you. I don't know if he dove in the water or not.
I'm getting air right here.
Guys, top this building.
I'm gonna get up.
Do we have that muni?
No, they destroyed my muni with that nade.
Gotcha.
I got 1 frag, no smokes.
There's 2 minutes. They can see from there. Do not peek that if you are. Do not peek that.
That's smoking. Might come towards us.
Yeah, I'm playing the stairs in.
Remember, someone could be mirroring us. Someone could have dropped behind where we couldn't see, and they could be swimming.
Don't say anything right now.
God, he's on the roof. Don't peek that out. But you gonna play for the next row, bro?
I got a nice little head glitch. You can't even see me.
Yeah, don't go that side. Fuck. I might smoke and go through the water, Smitty. You know what I'm saying?
On me. Other side.
Knock. I'm going for that.
Go for that. It's going with the water.
What's here?
I got P8. He peed the water or something.
Right above you guys.
Tense moments. They get pressured from behind, but they find some openings. I really thought they were all dead when they were underneath the bridge, and even still, they might not be able to make it out of the water effectively, but just barely. And Z-Smith, against all odds, is able to get back onto his feet. We're down to our top 6 trios, and at this point, I have no idea where the competition's at.
Yeah, they just dropped Tommy, too, and they took out Clutch Belk, so Destroy and Z-Lander will not have their 3rd up. But Tommy and company still trying to work through the back, but great shots there from Adrian. We were wondering when that positioning on the rooftops was going to pay off, when that team was going to step up. Adrian rotates, finds 2. They did so much to get into rotation, into zone, and Brax punishes Tommy. Iceman Isaac drops. We've seen the fight between Noobs and Brax for so long in this tournament.
Yeah, we have. I think Brax got this. Brax and Empathy, their positioning is just fantastic. They find respite on pretty much the only high ground. Everybody else so low. And the benefit of that is, like, Brax and Empathy can obviously put shots, but they can also disengage and save their lives. So in this time, they're going to be engaging, putting damage down. It's a 2v2. It's Empathy and Brax versus the 2 who are down low. And honestly, at this point, Brax and Empathy are the ones. They have to decide, do we want to drop low engage? Do we want to go for a hill off? Well, we're making a move. Brax is going down low, but is there a doorway he can go through? Yes, there is. I think just to his right? No, they can't get over, and now they're stuck.
Well, they're going to have to rotate back out and just play a heal off. Yep. There's really no, like, if they're going to take too much damage from the zone, you got 13 plates. It literally comes down to a heal off.
Brax wants to make a move, though, Space. He wants to make a move. He's always going to pay off, though. He pushes. Shots are going to be fired. Brax doesn't get it. Yes, he picks up yet another. One more still remains. But where is he? Where is he?
You can hit the res, but you got to be careful. If you hit this and get caught, it's over. High risk, high reward. The blitz play down low. He will fall. Rated picks him off.
Where is he?
I have no idea where the last player is, and I don't think they do either.
no way they lose this.
Open the crate though. Open the crate though. Smoking.
Right? Opens the crate, sound out, smokes out, and they get it. Who were they going against? Was it Rated, Space?
It looked like Rated. Adrian found that kill on the back, so I have to assume Rated was the one who was last alive.
Oh, it was Aiden. It was Aiden
he
up
waited.
top. So they switched places. Imagine if Empathy and Co stay up there. Aiden would have been able to win the 1v2 most likely, because there's no way you're expecting them to challenge you on high ground.
Yep. It had to be one or the other. And the fact that they switched places, and it literally came down to what feels like a round 11 of search. They're just trying to find any information. They get to top 2. The big thing is Aiden gets to top 2 for this trio, but that is a frustrating way to lose a potential first game spot of that multiplier for that trio. Regardless, though, one of the more unique ways we've seen last game close out before game 8 comes up.
Very unique. I genuinely thought we were going to have a hill off. But if you notice, like, these Warzone players, they really don't like the idea of a hill off because it's just too random, right? They want to, you know, hold destiny in their own hands. They want to push fights if they can. And that's why Empathy was so aggressive, like, to drop low. But it just, that was such a tense moment. I cannot believe they switched places, you know, and Aiden ends up top, and he just doesn't have enough health to go for the challenge. But that was a wild ending, to say the least, but still a great game from Aiden's perspective. Still a great game, obviously, naturally, for Empathy's crew, who get first place. And I don't know how many eliminations they were able to get, but Space, that right there takes the cake for the most exciting ending, at least to me.
I mean, that is straight up just like poise versus poise, right? Like trusting in the system, trusting the positioning you had. And you heard him saying, like, dude, we'll play the heal off. You can try to heal me if you need to, hit the crate. But in the end, we should have this, and trusting your teammates to make that play. And it really came down to a bit of a stalemate through the mid game. And we waited to see Aiden, Adrian, Rated work through the mid game, work through that stalemate, and get towards a late push. They finally do it. They get top 2, which is a big dub for them. But it just came down to a couple of small adjustments. Once they made it, we saw the results, but a very interesting way to end this one.
Very interesting to end, or at least an interesting ending. Super fun. And, you know, some questionable things, though, like, for example, why go into the water? It seems like every team that goes into the water always ends up dying. To their credit, they did break away, but I feel like teams just kind of pigeonhole themselves into the water, and then they normally find themselves hiding in a corner, and then once they're in that corner, they get pushed by a team, and then they just can't escape. But sometimes you just got to go with the only option, and if the water is your only option, then it is what it is. But going back to Aiden's success there, you know, second place, we watched them for some time, Space, on that rooftop, right? They stayed there for so long, great positioning, and it paid off for them to make it to the very end. So positioning is key, and Aiden and them had the deepest run we've seen them have yet.
I think that's the takeaway, is when teams start to get on a roll, especially as the tournament starts to round out, they are playing more reserved. We're seeing a lot more squads play way more reserved and understand the importance of placements. But I really thought we were going to see one really heroic push from Ahsoka and company. They just couldn't get it through. In the end, it was a couple of big trades. Brack stepping up massively in this one, taking it to Tommy and company. And just one small mistake. Yeah, it's going to cost you.
Well, he did have a self-res in his inventory. He didn't equip it, though, Space, right? So when he dropped, he understood, like, I have his self-res. If I would have equipped it, I could have picked myself back up.
Yep.
But as we know, like, at that point in time, Empathy and them were already so far away. You know, Aiden wasn't going to be able to catch up to them. But an exciting ending to game number 7. Only one more game to go. So when we come back, the final game of today will be played out, plus our standings. Who's in first? We'll find out after the break.
I died. appreciate that, Dylan. My bad, bro. I was locked in and shit. Yeah, we called that out.
Flying at us, flying at us. Down. Down and right over here.
He died to somebody else. Are you serious?
I got the zap. I can tell. Under me, under me. They're fucking flying at me. Oh, D's in this corner on me. I'm dead. On me, inside, inside, on me, inside, on me, inside. I don't have any. I have a pistol. Nice.
I'm looking at one kid.
He's in the water.
I got him burnt. Focus on me, so you guys are good.
And welcome back, everybody, to Lions versus Drakes, the Vondel battles. I'm Taylor Reflections, double joined by Spaceman. Here it is, our 8th game of the night, our final game, the final chance to break into top 5 and maybe even earn first place for $10,000. When we last saw the standing space, 1 and 2, it was very close, right? But then 3 through 10 was even closer. How we looking now?
Well, we're looking the same, which is still a miracle for Biffle and company. 157 to 142. Again, the late game surge from Team Hisoka really pulled them ahead into second place confidently. If Gorgo Knight and FIFA Kill can't make up the ground, you're probably looking at a top 2 finish for Hisoka. But that is also assuming that Noobs and Aiden and Iceman Isaac also have very slow games. I don't expect that to be the case, but this is an interesting situation to see because Team Destroy, that looks like they were on a roll, still at 10th. Jowo, they had a very hot middle part of this tournament, still at 9th. Jukis has moved up to 8th. Iceman and Isaac sitting around dead center. Aiden still around 6th. I cannot believe that Biffle's still in first place, man. They very quietly keep their lead.
Yeah, very quietly keeping their lead, and Drake's not so quiet, right? Keeping their lead as they continue to dominate this point. Lions, I'm getting worried, man. You know, I'm over here looking fresh. I got the yellow, so does Aiden, but like Team Lions, over 200 kills or points down, I should say. Excuse me. That is wild.
It's what we do. Listen, all I'm gonna say is just look. The boys and the girls have showed up today. I'm very proud of the Team Drake's house today. They've really put on their thing. But this is all for a culmination into week 5. All of these weeks go together. You accumulate your points, and then the best house get a chance to play against each other for a certain amount of cash prizes that will eventually filter through. But for this instance, for this tournament today, for the last one, all that matters is this. One final game. We'll get you the updated leaderboards. We'll get you the updated stats before we close out the show. All that matters right now is game number 8, the last one, the chance to move into first place to secure your spot in the money. You want to be in top 5. Now you got to do it.
Want to be in top 5, and the question is, will Aiden be in the top 5 just like he did last week? Well, after a strong second place finish, anything is possible. And immediately, are we dropping on a heli and going soaring? I think we might be, and this could be the first time we've seen this strategy on stream.
We saw it last week, very briefly. I think it was Huskers who was in the heli for a moment. Either him or Isaac that had flown around trying to cut off a couple of players scouting from the skies, but in this instance, we will instead pull our attention back down to earth. There's a couple of plates in the pocket. Maybe not the weapon that Aiden wants to work with, but he's all he's got for the moment. We'll see how long this trio can stay up as a full group, because that's been the question mark. They can stay alive, keep their numbers up. They can make a push to the end game. We just saw it. They got top 2.
Got top 2. An impressive finish. Aiden, unfortunately, forgetting that he had another self-res in his inventory. He doesn't equip it. How does that game end if he equips it? I still think Empathy wins it, but hey, you never know. But already picking up a bounty, and look who they're hunting, right? We're hunting Destroy.
Well, here goes the UAV. Early information, the rooftops are certainly a POI. For this squad, they got so close to escaping into the final push, the final gunfight of our game number 7. One of the biggest games so far they've had in this entire tournament from week 1 to week 2. This is the one. They can get a top 3 finish, let alone if they walk away with a victory, they might overtake Biffle and get that #1 spot.
One thing I want to point out, we've been discussing all day today how the lobbies have slowed down, and they absolutely have. But Game 7, just the game before, we saw only 12 teams alive when Resurgence ended, when the respawns ended. So a quicker game. I expect Game 8 to be just as quick. There's no point outside of getting points for your house to break outside of top 5. So you've got to put it all out there, risk it all, and try and get as many points as possible. So if you're like Team Smixy, even Destroy, you want to do that. And Hisoka dropping, he'll be back, but getting caught off guard a bit. And normally, Hisoka and them have a very strong start, but this is who I want to see, Smixy. Can they finally have a strong game?
Right below me.
Slowly rooting for them to, well, look, if they get top 2 in this one, it'd be huge. Rooting for them to walk away with a victory royale just to see how the standings would shake up would be awesome, but also give them a good high spot to end on.
Sure.
A team that's been so close but so far in a large part of today's broadcast. Ended on a good note. They'll try to rotate through for the moment through a bit of chaos, but they are working, again, with numbers above, so you're hoping that Attract can spot some information, give you a chance to cleanly move out of dodge. As Flanked will move up the stairs very quietly.
I'm crossing to you.
Very quietly. Attract is down, so Flanked stay up as long as he can, and Track does get back onto his feet, so good on him for doing so, and he dies just in front of where Flanked is currently at. So Flanked can make a big play. Good shots, big down. Simtex for the finish. Don't think it connects. Smixy is also gone. Flanked has to stay alive, and you're saying uh-oh, and for good reason.
Yeah, and if you're anybody who's just taking down those 2 players, you understand what the trio is, you start pushing this gunfight. Don't want to say that a Claymore could be down there, but it's possible. Got to be careful.
Haven't seen any.
That would be the worst way to lose in Game 8. It's just everybody's down, you walk into a Claymore. God, no. Good shots.
Great shots, man. Yeah, that would be terrible. Running into a Claymore. We've all been there. Yep. I think he hits it. Yeah, gets to Simtex, gets a finish. So good on him for doing so, but the job's not done just yet. Couple more loose ends they have to tie up. Sitting at 2 elims, though. One of the things that Smixy and Co have been kind of struggling with has been their beginning game. Don't overstay your welcome, though. You don't want to fall, and luckily, he's able to play back up.
And the numbers are back as well. So not only is that Semtex huge just for the elimination department, but you save yourself an opportunity to buy back your teammates, which might come into effect later, but you don't have to spend that money now. 3,600 for Flanked, 1,100, 1,700, so not a lot available in the resource department for a buy station around. Certainly will be. But here goes Smixy on the rotation. Working out on the outskirts. You got Attract on the wing. Out of zone. A huge split from this trio.
Big split, which they've done from time to time, right? Smixy, especially after respawn, has kind of landed far away from her team, mainly to like be that UAV to mark players, but we haven't seen them do it too often, so this is going to be kind of fun to watch and see how it ends up paying off. Meanwhile, there is a little bit of trouble, though, for one of our most talented squads. Rated, Adrian, as well as Aiden. 2 down, and Adrian forced to stay up.
He just needs 7 seconds. He could literally lie down, and he'd be okay.
Right.
But he might have just gotten into a gunfight. If audio cues are a thing, they are. He gets 1. That's huge. You get 1 teammate back, and now you get rated, so that gunfight was massive.
Good on him. Composure is there. That would have been awful space to see them drop this early. 100% would not be making top 5, but now that storyline is still in play.
Yeah, it would have been disastrous. Ken's Rosie will drop, believe. Finding 2 victims early on. Sean J. And this trio we saw earlier today, I want to say around game 4 or so. It's nice to see them still in the mix of things. And we will get a heli play. Here we go.
All right.
Oh, left Sean. There,
oh, no. She
get
can't
Sean
get
J.
in there.
Please get Sean
Come
J.
on,
Okay,
Sean. There
good.
you go.
Okay.
Even Intex letting out a bit of a smile there, but it's all business now, right? It's time to slay out. And as we go airborne, we know those signal 50s are banned, right? So chances of getting just bodied out is really not a thing, but Shantae's dropping in hot. And unfortunately, she's going to be dropping down. Does she get the self-revival? We're going to have to see. Intex, though, all eyes on him. He plates up, and this rooftop is hot.
And he's very, very tagged. I think he ran by a pistol regardless, so it's still information available, but this is a very risky descent. He's the only one up and has to kill 15 seconds.
There's only one chasing you.
Long time. Oh, it's a long time, especially when you got a player pushing you. Trying to bait it out. And he barely gets it. Good on him. Both of his teammates will be back to fight. Once again, another ping is there, and I believe a player either in the stairwell or going to be on the rooftop in Intex. Does he want to brave the trek back up? And he does.
Wait, in the room to the right, too. In there.
Again, it comes down to a couple of key gunfights for a couple of key players to keep their squads alive in this very important Game 8. This one's literally for all the marbles for some of our teams trying to make it into the money. Natasha, who was fantastic earlier, clutching what felt like a 1v5.
Right.
Making the most out of nothing. Got her team into a top 2 finish. The revive pistol will be successful. Zepti back into the fight.
The revive pistol has made a lot of lives. We're really worth it. I mean, it has been a big addition, specifically here in Vondel Resurgence. Just adds a little bit more longevity. And honestly, Space, that could be another reason why our lobbies are lasting as long as they are.
Sure, absolutely.
I didn't think about that.
Well, it helps when those players can get back into the game without being sniped off spawn. That certainly is a benefactor.
That's right. Yeah, facts. Shifty's down. Eno takes him out.
Yeah.
So, Eno's been playing very well, and honestly, so has Nat. You know, Nat, I've been really impressed with her. We talked about that star set of plays she made against Swag earlier. Fire sales started, so hey, if you want to buy some UAVs, this would be the time to do so. I scanned the map. There is going to be one buy station to the right, but I think their positioning is just too good to give up. But they're going for the push. What happened to Zept?
Either, I want to say ground damage or he got shot, but he got pushed from the back. And here comes the follow-up, the spree. The cavalry flies in. Still good shots in the end, but all 3 are down. Whoa, no, he's back. Zepti's back. He survived. He got back in time, and he keeps his streak alive. Are you kidding?
That's wild. I cannot believe he gets back in time. Zepti somehow goes for the self-res, gets back, and then is able to save his entire trio. I thought they were done for sure, Space.
Holy, I mean, like you're talking about a minuscule away from being out of contention. I am mind blown that we just saw that happen. I don't know if I think he got shot while trying to land, and it just cut the whole situation short, but we went from 0 to hero. They're back into it.
Back into it. That's unreal. Great work from Zepti. Talk about clutching up. Now, on your screen, a team that we've been watching consistently, and I love this, SIL Team 6 style, all 3 crouching up. We haven't seen this just yet. We've seen maybe solos do it, but not all 3. These guys are in sync.
This very much feels like Clear House. Just
it does.
Play like a campaign mission. Just get in, get out, find your kills, survive. 24 seconds until Resurgence will end. But yeah, hear him say, like, we're getting shot from everywhere. You got to be careful.
Z Colors is down 36 seconds. Back on board with Zepti, the hero, to keep this trio involved. Huge plays. Made even bigger, forced to jump into the water. We got a teammate coming back, so Zepti's actually coming back in. Nat now onto the ground level. Yeah, she's got the gutty for sure. She'll join Eno on the bridge just up there. She's got to go forward. Not a lot of space, or not a lot of coverage, I should say. So she's going to dive into water, quickly cross as quickly as she can.
I mean, the best way to rotate is just to do it, just to go. Resurgence is disabled. Numbers fall still. Worried about the cross from the opposite rooftop.
Can I roll Bright in her?
Not sure.
And their teammates are split. I mean, it feels like they're trying to edge guard here, which I don't necessarily disagree with, but it is a very dangerous spot to be in, given what's at stake in Game 8, and given how out of position you can be.
There's Lula. Lula's going to fall. Her other 2 teammates are still up, though. I don't think she had many options coming off the respawn. E-Bates, new teammate. So, yeah, E-Bates, DJ Moss, they joined Lula. Last time Lula wasn't playing with them was Blade and Vortex. But this trio made a big impact in our earlier games, and we haven't seen too much of them throughout the other 6 or 7. But game number 8, I mean, talk about a strong finish. This would be special. Still got 19 trios. Everybody's playing their life a lot more than I was expecting them to do on the final game.
And we had, what, 18 last game? Right around this time, so the trends continue. Numbers are still alive. Very much viable for all squads. Brax will fall.
Oh, he only has 9 bullets.
The leading member of the last game who eventually closed it out for that squad. On the victory royale. Very low here. In the mag department.
And he
Uses
hits
every
He
single
hits every shot. Wow. Wow.
The turn and
Does he-
burn, man.
And you know what he gets for it? 20 more bullets for his tack.
All he needs
That's
is
it.
9. That's just
I
apparently.
guess so.
Yeah. All right. Get some plates too.
Under the bridge right now.
He does.
Yeah, you should.
Plates are definitely valuable. 15 trios still up. Intex
They're out that way.
back on board with them as they managed to stay alive. Good on them for doing so. And having this building is going to be key, I believe, especially having the position they are at up top. Because it's obviously it's 3 levels, so you're going to have teams that are for sure going to be down low, and they're going to be able to cut them off. Destroy those Z-Laner. There's their end game, the duo. I mean, they just continue to excel.
They're not gonna move. Bunch of water
Quick update on the point standings overall. Preliminary numbers as they funnel through. It will be Biffle at 170.4 points. Behind Team Hisoka at 162, so a 6-point difference between the two. But great shots there from Destroy.
Great.
And a huge win against that trio.
Nat, Inno, Zepti. Again, that hero. Maybe the hero again? No. Inno, Nat, they survived. They're all stuck. Can they ascend? They can't ascend, or they don't want to. But they were just getting laser from down low. Oh, but Inno took down DJ Moss, so they're good to go, at least for the time being.
Yeah.
But as we know, we were talking about it, right? There's going to be a team above them.
I think they were worried about repelling too quickly and getting caught. Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
So they wait
right.
just to check the corner or the ceiling, whichever works for them, and now they make their move.
I can't believe they're still up.
It's a miracle. Like
It is.
between what Nat pulled off earlier and what they just did 5 minutes ago, insane. But now they got to work through the gunfights in the front.
Good downs, good shots, Nat. That's going to drop yet another one. I believe that's a full trio.
Intex.
Believe squad. The team that had the high ground was complimenting their positioning, thinking they were in a power spot. But little did I know, the surviving trio because of Zepti, Inno, Nat, they take over this entire building and they take down the squad, who I thought was going to have the advantage the entire time. 7 trios remaining in the final game. And Zepti's squad is fighting for top 10, maybe even top 5. Iceman Isaac also alive. Haven't seen too much of him.
I have 20 bullets if you want it here.
Yeah, that's better than
Nat's squad is currently 17th overall in the points, so
We try to work your rest.
I don't think they're going to break into the money with a first place finish, but they could spoil the day of a couple of trios. Just kind of what you want to do.
There's a door right above.
Iceman Isaac, like you talked about. This was the squad that took home first place just a game ago.
Ready for the hop over. Okay?
Came down to a, we'll call it a heel off in quotations against Aiden.
Right.
Uh-oh, and there goes Empathy.
He down. Iceman Isaac, he's sprinting away, taking a lot of damage. The only option is to fight back. Good shots. Great shots, in fact. We'll drop 1, and we'll drop himself in 6th place. But the highest placing, I believe, for that roster today. Now, the big story for fighting for first place to overtake Biffle is going to be Hisoka's crew. Hisoka, last alive.
Oh, man.
Playing that gatekeeper role. He wants to just hug this gas as much as possible. Gas mask is gone. But is he setting up properly? Will he pick up a couple more elims? Every elim counts.
Yeah, and I think they might have gotten enough to give them first if the multiplier kicks in. You're just playing
There it
placements
is.
here. Every elim helps. Not enough to clean it up, getting shot from the opposite alley, and he's still alive somehow. He's going to plate up and try to play through. He can't do it, but did they do enough to top 4?
Well, they got at least top 4 positioning there. Now we're down
Biffle
for a
killed
top
him.
3. Biffle's
That was
crew's
their
up.
team. That was their
Biffle's crew's
team.
up. First place.
Oh, they're looking.
Oh my God! It came down to 1 versus 2, and of course, it was Biffle and company to take them out.
Biffle first and second place fighting. Literally, the winner of that fight decides who gets first place, and Biffle's crew wins it. They've got a ton of eliminations already. I can already tell. Biffle's sitting at 6. They're going for the multiplier. Sage is going to be last up. If Sage can win this first place, it's all but guaranteed in back-to-back weeks.
It's just multiplier at this point. It's literally just get top 3 and just sit. Elimination's great. You win the game, great. All you have to do is just secure that you're in the best part of the multiplier, and they will do it. It came down to one gunfight. Biffle continuing just to ping out in hopes that Sage can maybe get a kill or 2. But does it even matter at this point?
Doesn't matter. Well, you want all the guarantees you could possibly get, and Sage wants to stay up, potentially win this just to solidify a win. If he can't get it, but that is still going to be just fine in second place. And what a way to end. And look who takes it, right? Inno's crew with Nat, of course, and Zepti. Zepti being the hero, just a hair away from losing their trio. Zepti stays alive, and that was a great call, Space. And now they are the winners of game number 8. Do they break into top 5? Probably not, but what a way to end today.
I mean, they were sitting around 17th. They were going to overtake Smixy. With that win, they'll overtake likely Swag and Huskers as well. Will they break into top 10? Very difficult to say. I don't believe so, but for that trio to walk away with a victory at the end, impressive nonetheless. I mean, you had 2 plays of the game, 2 plays of the day from that trio today. Just
that's right.
Phenomenal work from them. But again, it came down to one crucial team fight in the very final push. And the fact that it came down to Biffle and company taking down head-to-head Ahsoka is just brilliant Warzone work from the COD gods. Just love that it came down to the final fight. But this really was, again, a very similar result that we had in Game 7. Slow down in the mid-game, work through the rotations, really focus up on the close quarters team fights. We got that, and this one did not disappoint.
Didn't disappoint at all. I mean, even in this moment, Intex, staying alive, getting Believe & Co. back into the fight. That was a big move. They overtake high ground from that perspective. This was the play. That was the play, right? Zepti somehow getting back on his feet and then clutching up. I mean, a moment that shouldn't have happened that resulted and snowballed into a victory. Amazing.
I mean, he was hitting the self-revive. I don't think the other player recognized it. Just in the heat of battle, like, I have to take out everybody else. He gets up, reestablishes baseline with the group. This was disgusting. Just an absolutely absurd turn with 9 bullets. Rax, Iceman, Isaac did all they could, but it was Destroy doing all that he could to clean up the stragglers on this final fight. And so many times you think teams are so close, but one trio, one gunfight goes their way or doesn't. And this was just brutal.
It was. Well, here we go. We're getting down to those final moments, right? And just caught in the corner with the Simtex. You can see the frustration. And does he win if he has the gunny? The Simtex doesn't hit. There's a chance. Hisoka is always in a winning position. Breadman with 3rd. I missed that, but good to see him consistently up there. And Nat dropping down. She hits the final shots. I believe that is the 2nd win that she's got. Her and her roster has got. 1 in week 1, 1 in week 2. So wonderful job. Consistency is there too. But just what a good day. Longer lobbies. Teams are getting better. I think the removal of the Signal 50, as well as only having 1 sniper per team, allowed for these lobbies to mature a lot better and be played a little bit more strategically. So big fan of today's format.
And this was huge. I mean, it's great to see the extra 2 games kick in. It came down to the wire for it. I love what we're seeing, and I'm glad that it came down to really the top 2 teams going at it. It was awesome.
That's right. Number 1 and number 2 battling, and I think I know who's going to be winning today, but after all, the scores need to be tallied up. All 8 games are finished. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to find out who took first place.
Help me! Dad!
different team. Killed one.
I might hit the balloon. Oh yeah. Well, I'm broke as fuck. I just did it.
Another one.
Hopefully his teammates were deep left.
Right here, he crossed back. He's south, I believe.
He's self. Alright.
Re-knocked him, re-knocked him.
Oh, that.
Heady in the heady. Period. It's money. I got naded.
You just got naded.
Probably a different team.
Wait, on me, I'm in the tunnel. Dead. Okay, he's fucking back here.
One shot.
I have another. Oh my god, no. Oh no, I had another self equipped. Or am I fucking.
Great though, open the green though. Smoking open the green. Sir. Yeah, I appreciate that. Dylan, my bad, bro. I was locked in and shit.
Yeah, we called that out.
Nice, good full kill, that's my knock. Triple one. Got one. Oh, one shot. Fuck.
Flying at us. Down and right over here. Found it.
Another one on the roof to left. Looking for him. Thanks. Right on
He
you.
died to somebody else. Were you serious?
Right. I got Sam, I can tell. Under me.
They are fucking flying at me.
Oh, deep in this corner on me.
I'm dead, bro. On me inside.
Broken boy.
I don't have any. I have a pistol. One kid.
He's in the water.
Oh, right side, my water. One shot. Knocked out.
Who's that? Yeah, me. Yeah.
Got him. Dead. Got no one plate.
That's gonna be.
On me. Yeah, 20. Knock.
Weak a little bit. Armor broken.
On me. 20. Knock. One more.
somebody. Nice.
Just drive around here. Flying off right. Yes. Keep playing that thing. I'll leave. Yep. I love it. See? I'm here. Yep.
He's stimming. Dead.
Got him. Stick me.
Water.
Tell me close, D.
There's two.
It's two in a row. Pizza right there.
Oh, never mind. Ah, motherfucker, what the fuck?
Into the water. Broken in the water.
Fuck. Fuck.
Shit, boys.
Everybody left.
Got one. I need a chase.
Zone, running in. Cracked one, dead. Another one. I'll buy you, dead. Got a shock, dead.
You don't want to be clutch this. Easy. Don't give him the kill.
No. On ground. Follow me up. Just run away. Fucking go,
Nice.
baby. Come on, son. Nice. Go, baby. Come on. That's what I'm talking about. Come on. Bro, why the fuck are we this third? I hate the way he's playing, bro, because I know he do that shit on purpose.
And welcome back, everybody, to Lions versus Drake, the Vondel battles. All 8 games have concluded, and all that's left is to see who ended up in first place. But before we get there, Space, we need to find out who's winning, yellow or blue, Lions or Drakes, because Drakes have been dominating all day. Surely Lions caught up. I guess not.
Listen, maybe in a different multiverse, they're doing a good thing. At this point in time, 2 weeks in a row, the Drakes, the House of the Drakes, have showed up. The boys in blue, the boys, girls, and the NBs in blue have showed up. And that's what we love. Listen, I can't hate. I'm repping the colors today. Call of Duty, thank you for sending this out to us, by the way. Yes. They gave me the Drakes. You know I have to represent. But the beautiful thing about this tournament is we have more weeks to go. So if you ever want to see the Lions get back into the full swing and really compete in this tournament and compete in terms of the points against these two houses, they absolutely have a chance to do it, and I think they will.
Well, there's 20 total teams, 10 on the Lions, 10 on the Drakes. They play for points, and, well, those points are represented here. Drakes leading by 200 plus. Incredible stuff. But here we go. Our top 5 has been decided, and Biffle back-to-back weeks will win, but this time, Space, not as dramatically as week 1. Hisoka nearly gets it.
It was the only dramatic part about this was the final gunfight between Biffle and Hisoka. That was it. It was the final trio versus trio that came down to the wire to really decide who would walk away with the victory in Game 8. Let alone that, but potentially who would take first place, secure the most money in this prize pool. Again, top 5 is most important. FIFA Kill, Aiden, Gorgo, up to Hisoka. All impressive showings today. I think the big factor really was the resurgence from Team Noob. We see a much better performance out of this trio than what we saw in week 1. But Biffle, just consistently in like back-to-back weeks, this team, even if they're not winning the game, they're getting enough eliminations and placing far enough into the game to get a multiplier that helps them overall. And that's the takeaway. They're just doing so much right, even if they're not walking away with the victory royale. 192.5, like that's everything you want from that trio.
It is, but I do want to highlight Gorgo Knight, Irrational Scum, and due to their resiliency, their wonderful gameplay at the end throughout in-game, they were able to secure a 3rd place, which is better than the 7th place they got in week 1, and then Aiden going from 5th to 4th from week 1 to week 2. And like you said, FIFA Kill breaking in that top 5 is big because they weren't even existent in the top 10 as of last week. So improvements all around. I expected that to be the case, and we get exactly what I thought. But Biffle, man, back-to-back week, Space. They get first place. They secure $10,000. They've already earned $20,000 in just 2 weeks of Lions versus Drake, the Vondel battles.
And that's more than some teams are going to see over the 5-week span. So at this point, their job's done. They've contributed all the points they really need to towards their house. They've done enough in terms of the money department. They take away $20,000 in 2 weeks. It's not a bad share of change. You show up, you win a couple of games of Warzone, put some kills on the board, you get 10K to your name. Hisoka, the standout, though, for me, as consistent as Biffle is and as impressive they've been, and that will always be the story. Team Hisoka that has stepped up from the shadows, it feels like, in week 1, in week 2 here. They have really put on a show and competed against the best of the best and shown that they deserve to have that 2nd place spot. I expect them to be a front runner for the top 2 teams going into week 3, 4, and 5.
That's right. Back-to-back wins for Biffle. Back-to-back 2nd place for Hisoka. Those are the 2 teams that have really taken over this series so far. Week number 3 is going to be next week on the 10th. That'll be Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We would love to have you there for that one because, hey, the action continues and the games are getting better and better and better. Today was a wonderful day, Space. It's always great working alongside you, brother. What are your final words before we get out of here?
I mean, we're seeing the separation now. From week 1, a bit chaotic. Everybody kind of figuring out how they want to play Vondel Resurgence. Week 2, much more structured, much more cadence heavy, really slowing it down in the late game. And a lot of individual plays this week. Nat with her 4-piece that was disgusting. The fact that team stayed alive in the 1v3 that shouldn't have existed. Like, there are so many individual moments from a lot of key players today to keep their squads alive and involved in not only a late game push, but also trying to close out victory royales. We're getting into that cash, that money prize is huge. So I think week 3, we're going to see a similar result, but I like how each week's felt different. This week was awesome.
That's right. And changes to the meta as well, which created some results. But hey, it's been a lot of fun today, and we owe that to you out in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you hit that follow button because we're going to be back, like I said, next Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We would love to have you then. But all good things must come to an end, and this is one of those good things coming to an end. For myself, Taylor Reflections, Noble Spaceman, our production crew, and you in chat, thank you so much for being here, and we hope to see you again next Thursday for another week of the Vondel Battles.